said it sounds like somebody's playing snare drum on their microphone.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's like a.
Nobody's hearing that. Are you sure it might be your headphone cable or something? Could be shorting. And Tyler, your shit's muted constantly. Although I appreciate.
I forgot to hit the button. Somebody might not have muted their ninja.
Thank you for reminding me. I actually
Meet your
forgot to do the
ninjas.
myself. But yeah, that is possible. No, you absolutely are.
So
okay,
who is Handsome Confluence below us?
I'm a Handsome Confluence.
You mean above you?
Yeah, well, he's below me.
Oh,
below me.
On your screen. Okay, yeah, no. So on the stream, he is above you.
He's below you.
As is appropriate. Don't worry, we will go through all of the introductions in a second. Like I said, I got to figure this microphone thing out first. As long audience chat, are you guys hearing that as well? And you guys can only hear me. You haven't even been able to hear them yet. So, okay, you guys aren't hearing some weird like sound.
Can I just see if it happened when I was typing?
That's the sound.
Okay, cool. So that's figured that out. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was hearing. All right, cool.
Okay,
And
no
just so you know-
typing, hard mode, no typing anything allowed. No, I've got to figure out.
Show us those hands, boys.
we
Your
are
mic
also
also
hearing
sounds
an
like ass.
echo. Yeah, we're also hearing an echo from you, Theory.
From me.
Yeah, so you are. Yeah, I'm hearing you twice, and you do not sound like you
I only
got
hear
your
him.
streamer mic going.
I only hear him once as well. I don't know.
I only hear him once, bro. You got to check all your tabs, make sure everything's muted.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone else hear it while I'm typing?
The judges disagree.
I can't hear you, but
Yeah, I can't hear you
I
type
think
either.
Discord is blocking it.
It's weird that he is the only one I'm hearing in double, though.
That is
And
really
the chat is
strange.
hearing it as well.
Check stream together.
Oh, maybe it's
you did
that.
click
Yeah.
stream. Yep, that's 100% what it is. Yep,
That's a
yep.
good call.
Good call. There we go. Oh, yeah. Thank you very
I've
much.
muted
There,
myself
Theory.
there now, so it shouldn't be a problem anyway.
Nope,
That's called
and it's all fixed.
troubleshooting.
Yep, sounds great. And let's go ahead and get that shared chat going for everybody. All right. Now we're fucking cooking, kids. And if anybody is able to, and this goes to you as well, chatters, if you guys know Kate, is it Kate, Katie, KT? Anyways, if you guys know that person and can mention it and be like, hey, we've started, go ahead and jump on in.
I'm
just
chatting
alarmed.
with her right. It's just like a second ago. She's on the way.
All right, fantastic. I'm just worried that she's going to have troubles getting in with the tech and stuff and making sure that she knows how the Video Ninja works and everything. And
They
again,
got
for those of
plenty
you,
time.
yeah, word. For those of you who are new to it, please make sure and mute your Video Ninja channel. That page, mute that page because crazy shit happens. So,
I do have one more question just before side, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
The final question. Sorry. Are we able after my debate with Theory? Are we gonna stay in this VC until the after party?
Yes, this is a 1v1. You guys get to hang out, especially for Theory. Just so you know, you're streaming. You are welcome to mute yourself and fucking rage while the other debaters are happening. After this is all over with, after all 3 debates are done, we go through 30 minutes on the clock for each of the prompts. So all of the people who are not involved in that debate get to have their say on that debate. So it's kind of the more fun part of it, if we're being honest. The first part is the structure and the competitive. The other part is the progress, or productive and wholesome part. So, and I say wholesome. I say wholesome with tongue in cheek because we're probably going to yell at each other and get drunk. So, or are you going to say
energy? Are you asking because you need to kind of dip out for a little bit after your debate and then come back
no,
for
I
the
just asked because I need to know if I needed to go to the other VC in between my debate and the after party.
Nope. Everybody's going to hang on here. So, all right. So everybody, bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to read our fun opening for the chatters, and then we're going to kick this party off. So, welcome in, everybody, and welcome to the DMZ. This is a place where we practice good faith rhetoric. We do not just farm gotchas and drunks. We are trying to use structure to cultivate conversations where you have to stop and listen to the other person, even if it is just to find the flaws in what they're saying. So please check your weapons at the door, take notes, and attack the belief, not the believer. After each debate, there will be a free link in the chat where you can go to vote on which side you believe made the most compelling case, not just who you like the most and not just who you agree with. So please sit back, relax, get ready to cast those votes, because this is the DMZ. Now, tonight we have three very contentious debates for you guys. Confluence, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I am streaming a raw version of the DMZ from my own channel into the Discord channel because I was told that might help you out a little bit. Also, for everybody, you should be able to see a timer above my head in the Discord channel so that way you guys know where you're at in the clock. We're going to go through and explain the format for everybody who does not know, whether you're out in the chat or you're in the debates tonight. You're each going to get 3 minutes to open. It's going to start with the affirmative. They're going to go for 3 minutes uninterrupted. Then the negative is going to have 3 minutes to either cross-examine or rebut as they see fit. It is their time to control. After that, the negative gets 3 minutes uninterrupted for an opening, followed by a 3-minute cross-examine or rebuttal from the affirmative. After that, we're going to put 15 minutes on the clock. That is an open forum debate period. You guys just go ahead and get after it and have a conversation. After that, we get 3 minutes on the clock for each of you in the same order, affirmative first, negative second, to do an uninterrupted closing. Now, after that, each of the judges and myself will have at least one question for each debater. And to you out in chat, if you guys have any questions that you think either got left on the table or you just want to hear the debater address, just throw a couple bucks in the tip jar. You can do it with the bits. You can do it with the tip jar that'll pop up occasionally, and we will get your question asked as well. We have the scoring based on 2 judges and the audience vote. Our judges tonight, the Honorable Let's Chief, always a regular. Let's Chief, if you want to tell folks about you and where they can find you or not find you, go ahead, sir.
Well, now the whole chat knows I'm a regular, so thanks for that. Now everyone knows too much. No, I'm not streaming too much these days. I just moved literally a week ago, so I hardly have my shit set up, but I got my shit set up in time just for this. So happy to be judging some debates again and participating in the DMZ. Always a good time, especially to be across the judge's aisle from my newest good friend, Confluence there.
100%. And speak of the devil, Confluence, our new addition to the judges pool. Very, very pleased to have you involved. Confluence, would you please tell the folks who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you? I'll drop your link in the chat.
Well, thank you, Horace. You can find me on Confluence 358. I host open panels every night about politics, religion, culture, everything in between. They are very chaotic. They're very fun. You should check them out. I have the pleasure/displeasure hosting with Let's Chief. One of us always lies. One of us always tells the truth. And I'm the one who tells the truth. Of course, that's what the one who always lies would say. But I'm excited for this. Excited to dive into it. Let's go.
100%. All right, badass. Now, going through the debates, we're going to go through, and what we're going to do is we'll have the debaters actually introduce themselves before each debate. It'll be a little easier, especially since one of our debaters is not here yet. So if you guys don't mind just sticking around until we get to that point. Oh, well, actually. If Ancom, oh, there we go. Okay, we do actually have visual as well. There we go. We'll go ahead and bring, is it Kate or is it Katie real quick?
It's Katie. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can indeed, Katie. I just need to turn you up just a little bit. All right. So you missed a little bit here. I'm going to give you the really short version of it. 3-minute rounds. I did send you a link that had the format. I hope you had a chance to take a quick look at that. Also, I just want to remind you, as I have already gone through to the audience and to the chatters, this is a good faith and respectful space. We especially know that tonight we have a few very hot topics on our table, and so we are hoping that everybody can stay respectful. That is not to say that we are neutered or defanged
tonight.
here.
It's crazy.
Simply the fact that we're trying to keep it all above the belt. Now, that said,
thank you, Patrick.
You are welcome to stream or put this. You had said that you had somebody else who was streaming. Do they want to participate in the stream together with us and share chat? You want to find out from them real quick? We'll get that squared away before we continue.
He's not talking to me, is he?
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, I know he does, but then it's going to screw up the audio. I get confused. We're just going to do this for now.
Open, so I've been hearing double the entire time, and my brain is mush right now. I don't know what's happening. I will fix it in a second, okay? I just need to
Yep.
find it because I can hear myself.
She sounds charming, Testy. I don't know what the problem is.
If you need, I can actually have somebody jump into the waiting room with you for a little bit of tech support while you're getting that sorted out. Would you like that real quick? All right, I'm going to drop you back down. Ancom, if you're still out there in the chat, if you've got a few moments, buddy, if you can jump in there with her and help her out, I would appreciate that.
Do you know her too,
All right,
Keelan?
so-
I don't know.
We're going to go ahead and go straight to our
We'll
first
find
debate
out,
of the
hopefully.
night. Actually, you know what? No. What we're going to do first is we're going to tell you guys, we're going to get you guys primed in case you don't know what you're up against. Our
wanna
three
be primed.
prompts tonight
Edge me,
are
horse.
going to be: the current conflict in Iran is in the U.S. national interest.
Let's fucking go.
Coming in second is going to be Sharia law and the Eastern Orthodox Church have similar moral character.
Oh, it's
And our
the
third debate of the
was that
night,
the
the
prompt?
final debate of the night, the abolition of Israel is moral and just.
Oh, I had
Now,
biblical law. It must have
you see
changed.
what I meant.
Okay.
Tonight
That's different.
has
That's
the
a different
potential to
prompt
be
than
very,
the one
very,
Horse
very
sent me.
volatile. So I'm going to ask
Eastern
again, please, everybody, just make
Orthodox
sure you keep it
Church.
respectful as possible, and let's all try to use our big brains and not just throw names at each other. Sound good?
How do you all know about this
All
Katie
right.
person? That's
All right,
crazy.
so-
Good to
so
see you, Alex.
our first
Everyone
debate of
seems
the
to know
night
this except me.
It's going to be between Energy
Yeah,
to Hamster
someone
on the
changed it.
affirmative and Theory Unchained on the negative. I'm going to go to you first, Energy. Please tell everybody who
And
you
Kirk
are,
was
what
saying
you're
I can't
about.
call him Kirk.
and
It's
where
going to
they
be
can
so
find you.
fucking hard.
So I am Energy to Hamster. I'm a young person who is interested in politics, philosophy,
He's going to talk
mathematics,
about his double
physics, and
circumcision.
things
just like
of an intellectual
in his
sort.
intro.
I do not have any socials. I am active on Confluence's, panel pretty frequently. So if you want to find me, you can generally check me out there. Other than that, I just say no pain, no pain, no game. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win.
Plug in the show. Based.
That's a
Based.
great way to
Red pill.
approach it. And Mr. Theory Unchained, would you please introduce yourself to the class? Tell everybody who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you. I'll drop your link in the chat.
Hello,
Actually not
my name is
sure.
Theory Unchained. I am a Marxist revolutionary who's been active
Probably
in
Emmett,
the
I guess, but
IRL movement for the last 6 years or so. But I became a socialist
he does have the Harris
online
swoop.
on Twitch, on YouTube, so I thought I'd come back and see
I give
see what
extra
I can
points
do.
for talking.
To advance the cause. That's mainly why I'm here. If you'd like to find me on Twitch, I'm here on Theory Unchained, and I have a YouTube channel as well.
All right, cheers. Yeah, for what it's worth, you're going to find that you're going to fit in just fine in the DMZ. You will definitely find some people of a
Oh, is it
similar
his first
character,
time?
but you will also find some people who will tell you how wrong you are. So, or let me rephrase, how wrong they are certain you are. Anyways, all right. So once again, I'm going to go through that again. 3 minutes is on the clock. Goes affirmative,
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Opening,
to lock the fuck
negative,
in.
cross-examination, negative opening, affirmative
Slow
cross-examination.
down on the
Then
rose
we
a
go to
little bit.
15-minute open
You
forum.
know,
Then it's 3-minute closings, and then
Keep
we
the
have
zins
questions
up.
from the judges.
Keep
and
the
the
energy.
audience. So if nobody has any
Be
questions,
clear.
we're gonna go ahead and kick this party off. Energy, my friend, you are up first. 3 minutes
All
is on the
right.
call.
Call him energy. Call him energy. Call him energy.
Please tell
Don't
us
call
why
him
the
Kirk.
current
Don't call him
conflict in
Kirk.
Iran is in the U.S. national interest.
I'm gonna write that down. Don't call him
Okay.
Kirk.
So the reason I believe that the current conflict in Iran is in the U.S. national interest is severalfold. First of all, while one cannot provide definitive proof for it, it is certainly possible that had the United States not launched its war against Iran, they would have started a nuclear program. And yes, the UN did check for nuclear program, but who knows? The Russians or the Chinese both have vested interest against America. They could have sold nuclear weapons or things to make nuclear weapons to the Iranians, and the UN can't account for these secret things. And
Yeah, I
so
gotta watch my
because of
facial
that, I think
expressions. I'm not
to
trying to be
police
biased.
them getting nuclear weapons, it was a good thing. The second thing is the fact is the matter is that the Iranian people are disenchanted with their government, and so having the United States supporting them against their government means more of the global population supports the U.S. against the Iranian government, and more people who support the U.S. means more trade deals, etc. And a more liberal Iran would mean more trade deals with the U.S. and Iran, etc. Another thing is that when this war also
I don't know
could
if
be a
bombing them is
benefit
gonna
to
make
us
them
for
more
oil,
liberal, but
because basically by bombing Iran, we could basically secure oil in the region. And Iran also funds terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah, which are enemies of
true.
Israel and the United States. And because Israel's an ally of the United States, and because generally speaking, Hamas and Hezbollah are enemies of the United States, there are several reasons why us bombing their main source of funding is a good thing for us. Now, one can argue that it's not good for the Iranian people, But that's not the point of the problem. The point is this good from the Americans' perspective? Now, I still think it's good for the Iranian people, but that's besides the point, because it's clearly in the United States' interest to secure oil, defeat the main funding source
Isn't
for
the
terrorism
U.S.'s
globally,
interest if
defeat
Hamas and Hezbollah are taken
the
out?
Islamic
Feels like an
regime,
Israel
and
interest thing.
get the Iranian people on our side. And with that, I see the rest of my time.
Wow, very short.
Well, then now it is 3 minutes going on the clock for you, Theory. Again, you control this time. Use it to either poke holes in his arguments, set up your own arguments, or rebut. You set questions. Use it as you see fit. I will start the clock when you start to talk.
It's true.
Oh, so you're muted, so I can't hear you if you're talking.
He has not started talking yet.
Bro's charging the
Sorry,
spirit
one
ball.
sec. So first of all, on the question of Iran's nuclear program, Trump's own administration, I forgot, apologies, but I've forgotten the name.
I'm both. Okay, I can be all things to all men.
The official,
Not in a gay way,
but
though. I can't be in a
Trump's
gay
own
way.
administration denied that that Iran was on their way to making a nuclear weapon. This has always been a sort of boogeyman that the imperialists can wave about, saying Iran is about to get a nuclear weapon. So any action we do is justified, even though that Israel has had nuclear weapons for a long period of time and has used that.
It's an open secret. Okay, we don't know that for sure.
The region. You also mentioned. So I mean, yeah. What would you have to say to that?
So, Mike, what I would say to that is the Trump administration or any American administration or any administration outside of Iran would have no way of knowing whether or not Russia or China is giving them nuclear weapons or giving them the ingredients to make nuclear weapons, because those would be inherently secretive, and so it's inherently unfalsifiable either way.
But we also had an agreement under which, the JCPOA, under which Trump ripped up.
Do you think the Iranian government are honest actors?
Based, Kirk. Based.
I think they're more honest when they agreed to have UN people come in and check to see whether they have nuclear weapons. And if a deal which enforced that was ripped up by America, I have no qualms with them.
But how do you know they weren't getting Russia or China to sneak them backdoor weapons? Like, how would you prove that?
It's a weird argument.
I couldn't prove that, but it seems unlikely from the evidence which we have, and it seems like a strange thing to base the main brunt of your argument on.
It is
basically a completely hypothetical thing, which there was no evidence for.
With theory.
I mean,
you also
but there is evidence for it. But there is evidence for it. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you think if someone is untrustworthy, that's evidence that they're untrustworthy? Well, yes. And so if the Iranian government is untrustworthy, which we have good reason to believe, given the fact that they are religious fundamentalists, they are bad to their citizens, they're not respective of human rights, then clearly if they're not trustworthy people and they're willing to lie, we have no way of verifying that they are being honest with us, that they're not doing backdeal trades with Russia or China. And we know Russia and China are not honest either.
There's so many problems with that. Call them out.
I mean, the thing is, almost everything you say about Iran, hypothetically, can be said concretely about Israel, and we haven't been bombing Israel to hell. We haven't been,
that's not a good. That's not a good.
It seems like a strange argument.
Israel's not a human rights violating government. Israel doesn't violate human rights.
Well,
I mean, we could get to that debate, but I don't think they do.
I need to hide my facial expressions. I just realized.
You also point out the Iranian people hating the IRGC. We'll go into this later, but I've really failed to see how bombing
not violating any human rights.
A group of school children,
Kirk, the strongest of all the Zionists,
encourages the people to overthrow the regime. If anything, what's happened is that the support for the regime has strengthened immensely as a result of America's actions.
I know that the clock is out, but I will allow you to go ahead and respond to that really quickly if you want to, Energy.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, I do think when you're talking about bombing the Iranian people, yes, that might disenfranchise them somewhat, but I still think overall they're more against the Iranian government than against the Americans. But go ahead.
Disenfranchise me or taking away someone's voting rights?
We're now going to go to you, Theory. You have 3 minutes uninterrupted. This is your opening time. I will start the clock when you start to talk.
Okay, I did confuse it. Theory, opening, time.
So the evidence that this war has been a disaster for U.S. national interests mainly centers around three main pillars. The first is the strategic military and political failures of the action. While there have been a certain number of tactical successes for destroying Iran's navy, destroying a certain amount of its air force. What Trump found out is that Iran is not Venezuela. The assassination of Supreme Leader Al-Khamenei and the elimination of the Iranian security apparatus failed to destroy the state or lead to the overthrow of the regime. The regime had clearly been preparing for such a possibility.
That's a strong
mosaic
argument.
defense was used by Iran and its allies to ensure that local commanders were able to act without instructions from Tehran, making Iranian operations harder to predict and deter. The core of it, though, is that Iran waged an effective asymmetrical war, launching thousands of Shahed drones, each costing $20,000 to $30,000 each, and forcing the US to use THAAD and Patriot interceptors that cost between $3 million and $12 million per shot.
We got that money.
As a result, the effectiveness of Israeli air missiles dropped from 95% to 65% as interceptor stocks have been depleted.
It's been like a couple of missiles that have hit.
Of
almost no one did.
Since the war began, the regime has organized over 850 rallies with attendance ranging from the thousands to the tens of thousands. This also includes participation from unveiled women who the regime is no longer targeting for hijab violations.
Well, that's a good thing.
An anti-imperialist front everywhere the regime is gaining support and is broadening its support.
That sounds like the U.S. did something good to me.
As a result of this,
they're freaking
forgot that happens. As a result
modernizing
of this action, the war has effectively finished off any pro-Western opposition inside the country. Reza Pahlavi, who was put forward as a sort of possible.
I feel like these are points toward Kirk. Am I crazy?
As a possible
chat. Am I crazy?
Something on my end. As a possible candidate, has been called the loser prince by the Trump regime.
I think it'll screw up, and I'll have to like re-mute myself. I'll have to check that up for next time. I wish I could. But otherwise, I don't know how I won't. Because if I play you guys the audio, I'll hear myself back doubled. That's the problem.
Forcing personnel to relocate.
I don't know how to mute it on StreamYard, but not mute it for myself.
The idea of capturing Karg Island or committing to a ground invasion in this context is ludicrous. America can't even hold on to its bases, and these bases have now become targets rather than assets.
I'm not saying the opening is that point toward Kirk.
As of mid-April,
I don't count points that precisely, to be clear. I just kind of, judge each one and then give a total score, because I don't know how to get to 10 otherwise.
The war has cost US taxpayers approximately $113 billion, with requests threatening to push this over $200 billion. This war has been a complete disaster for America, for its interests globally. We can go into more later, the global economic crisis and the geopolitical retreat that the American empire has had to suffer, but we can go into that later.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
now,
this means 3 minutes for me to cross the
3 minutes. I got you, buddy. Don't worry. 3 minutes is now on the clock for you. Cross-examination. You control this time as you see fit. Go ahead and I'll start the clock when you start.
So theory, I just want to make a couple points and then I'll have a couple questions. So the first couple points I would like to make is when you're talking about the disenfranchisement of the Iranian people from the Americans because of them bombing them, the problem is you couldn't really have evidence for it either way because of the fact that any sort of polling data that you get out of Iran is inherently going to be biased by the polling agency that does it and is inherently going to be biased by the fact that there are certain types of people who are more likely to respond to polls than others. And so I think polling data is generally not the best metric because heuristically, when you're talking about polling data in a wartime, it's just there's so many confounding variables that polling data is not really reliable. And then the second thing I want to say is government spending is not on, I believe the statistic is like 45% of government spending is on defense spending, and I believe 55% of it is on domestic spending. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. And so when you're talking about it, the majority of government spending, if you're really concerned about that, is not on military, it's on domestic programs.
Use this to cross.
You're not opposed to domestic welfare programs, despite the fact that that's the majority of the reason for our debt. But anyway, to get to a question, how do you respond to the point I made about polling? Like, would you say that polling is reliable, or like how do you deal with
You
this?
should have asked them that out of the gate. You should have asked them out of the
I
gate.
certainly wouldn't go by. I mean, democratic polling in autocratic regimes.
You only got 3 minutes.
Notoriously unreliable. What I would say is that that there were significant movements against the IRGC before before the war began, and these have ceased. And there have been many documented, organized rallies with tens of thousands of people attending the funeral of Khomeini, who is now seen as a martyr, and in support of the regime. These did not exist before the war. The war has first of all it has discredited moderates who used to favor negotiation with the US. It is hardliners who have been proven correct in the eyes of the base. And yeah, the constant attacking of civilian infrastructure and cultural heritage sites has an effect on the population. Has the effect of going, oh, these Americans do not have our interests at heart at all.
Yeah, that's a very strong
well,
point.
the
The school fuck up really set the fucking mood for
the
this
bombing
war.
of infrastructure and of
Like holy shit, and
ancestral
all
things
Trump's
and of
bridge day, power plant
basically,
day.
yeah, you're right
cuckoldry.
that some of this does mean that what a percent of the population is going against Americans, but I would still say it's in my view, and I think there's good evidence for this in the form of for example, Iranian refugees supporting the war. Many Iranian refugees in America have lined up to do protest for the Iranian war. Basically because of the fact that, yes, some of them don't like it, but the fact of the matter is the fact that a government is willing to stand up for the government stand up against the government that's been abusing them for so long because of their theocratic and fundamentalist policies. I think many of the Iranian people like that. So in any event, so the time's running up, so go ahead.
Well, and on that note, I'm going to go ahead and put the 15 minutes on the clock.
Not best use of cross, in my opinion.
Nobody's in control. Y'all just have a conversation. We'll be here listening. Continue.
Okay,
just
so do you have
on that very? Oh, sorry. Just could I come back on the last point you said very quickly, just to wrap
the opening is where
is that if
boys become men.
You know, the reactions of people in the regime, then we definitely can't support people who have lived outside the country for several years, who have allegiances to previous political systems, and you know, the Iranian expat community is notoriously pro-Israeli, the consciousness of expat Iranians is very different from that of people who actually live in Iran.
I mean, yes,
if I mute it, less chief, then my audience won't hear it. I don't know how I can stop myself from
they're not at all representative, because
you guys
basically,
can,
I do think a lot of the Iranian refugees were people. I could be wrong about the history, but I haven't seen evidence that they're more likely to have been, for example, regime opponents when they were in Iran than when they're out of Iran. Like I don't know how you'd prove that, because of the fact, like you said, polling in autocracy is inherently unreliable. So testing the people in Iran versus the people outside of Iran, the people outside of Iran are the best heuristic we have. So I don't know what else you would use.
Oh, that's a terrible heuristic, because the people that leave Iran obviously living in Iran very much. If you think about it,
a bit of an unknown. What I would like to talk about,
he's not saying that, I suppose,
America's position on the geopolitical stage. A lot of the benefits that American citizens get is having a very strong purchasing power on the world economy, and a lot of that is based on America's superior position when it comes to its military, its politics, its economy all around the world. A big part of this is the strengthening of China and Russia. Russia is getting a windfall of an extra $150 million a day due to surging oil prices. To lower domestic fuel prices, the US was forced into the humiliating position of lifting sanctions on Russia and Iranian oil. That on its own is a very clear example of how America has had to give concessions to its enemies to retreat on the geopolitical stage in order to stabilize the consequences from this war, which do not serve its interests at all.
Yeah,
Strong
but
point.
When you're talking about this, so are you referring to the rising oil prices because of the Iranian government blocking the Strait of Hormuz?
In defense of being attacked. Yeah, I am.
So I think with that, the simple solution is just for the United States government to be stronger in the war and try and prevent them from blocking the Strait of Hormuz by using boats and bombs and airplanes and basically trying to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's
so unwieldy.
Like the best solution.
This is like when Iran threatened to put all those mines in the water. It's like,
resources,
what are you going to do? It's like a Vietnam fucking situation.
Which affect the average person, because military taxes are less expensive than oil taxes, or the cost of oil going up. You can argue it wouldn't be a problem in the first place if we didn't launch the war. But as I said, there were good reasons. And what about the argument that I made that, like, if we install basically a liberal democratic government that's aligned with the West, we would have a future trading partner? Like, that is good for America.
Yeah, Kirk's best argument is probably like the long term. That in the long term, this like modernizes Iran.
A failed state.
You should go into that.
Free reign for Israel to do whatever it wants in the Middle East. To talk more about oil, America, while it is an oil exporter, has massively reduced its oil reserves. I think it's maybe about, it might not be technically half. I watched a video on it that explains it, but about a third or a half of America's significant oil reserves have been depleted. Analysts are talking about weeks or months possibly of oil reserves left. It might be nice if the US could simply steamroll Iran, but that's proved to be militarily impossible without the deployment of significantly more forces, which would make this war much, much more lossy for the Americans.
Well, just real quick, if I may ask a clarifying question, sorry, but when you say lossy, do you mean loss in terms of lives or in terms of money or in terms of both? Because I would agree with you in terms of money, but not in terms of lives.
If
I think I meant like
America
lossy,
committed to a
like as in
serious
like
ground
the
invasion and a
audio
serious
quality
attempt
stuff.
to seriously overthrow the regime, it would result in many American lives being lost. Yeah.
You're right, but I'm not saying that. I'm talking about opening the Strait of Hormuz. Opening the Strait of Hormuz is as simple as using GPS-guided missiles, like AI-guided missiles. Machine learning and artificial intelligence does play a big role in modern warfare.
That's a crazy argument.
That allows for remote warfare without costing many American lives.
It doesn't matter.
Right?
It doesn't matter. It's a crazy argument unless theory
thing.
gives a good answer.
Right, but as I said, Iran has a very asymmetrical situation here, where it's using $20,000 to $30,000 Shahed drones, and each one of these takes millions of dollars to take out.
That's okay. I think I could have said better. But that's a fair
money.
point. He's talking about
I don't know about you, but I care much more about lives and money.
Sure, but I mean, Americans are dying at home because of lack of funding for social services, because they're being spent on knocking very cheap Iranian.
Well, that's not. That's not true. But as Kirk could have pointed that out,
I don't think funding more social services. Like, for example, in America, I'm pretty sure the starvation rate is less than 10% of the population. Like, starvation is not a major issue in America.
Literally, no one is starving in America. That's what fucking crazy they can say.
Services.
Food insecurity.
There are probably some examples where the VA, for example, is not great at providing veterans benefits. I'm sure, and there could definitely be some reforms to social services. But I don't think poverty is as much of an issue in America as you think it is.
It's an issue that has nothing to do with Iran, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, any amount of money pointlessly spent.
Yeah, unironically,
that can't be spent at home. The other
it's not like they've changed their bills though, or like done funding cuts because of the Iranian war.
The MAGA movement. Obviously, Trump was
especially not now that we got those generic Ozempics testing. I'm thinking of getting on one of those. It's like a really thin fucking max. Holy shit!
About 60% of Americans
okay, I'm not locking it
the
up.
handling of the war, and only 24% believe the conflict was worth it. 1 in 4 Americans who voted for Trump now opposes the war. There's a
I believe those polls.
In the US
I believe those polls are reliable. Yeah, I accept those polls as reliable, but that's an appeal to popularity fallacy. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it's right. Like, for example, during the slavery in the South was popular, but it was obviously immoral and unethical. So just because something's popular doesn't mean it's ethical.
He's got a point. A lot of people like slavery.
I'm just saying the majority of Americans already recognize the reason for their higher gasoline prices and the increased cost of everything that relies on diesel to get around, which is most things in America.
How does that not appeal to popularity fallacy?
Because of what he just said.
I mean,
you think most people say this. Does that make it right?
You can look at oil prices. What the fuck? But depends if he says it.
I'm just saying it is right, and the majority of Americans agree with me.
Here's the thing. What about the fact that only 45% of, as I understand it, 45% of government spending is on defense spending, and only a fraction of that defense spending is on the war in Iran. A lot of it is going to foreign aid. A lot of it is going to other wars that we kind of have de facto. You do realize that the Iran war is only a fraction of the American budget.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this is very clearly a bad investment for the U.S. government. The possibility of opening the strait on the basis of trying to flick Shahed drones out of the sky with $1 million rockets clearly doesn't work. Which was why America was forced to the negotiating table, and why it was forced to sign the surrender essentially of the MOU, which is now walked back.
I don't know what the MOU is.
Well, as I said, I do think that a lot of the Iranians are disenfranchised. One question I actually did have for you, if you have time for it, is what about the fact that the Kurds and the Kurdish community, as I understand it, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is the majority of Kurds, when polled, disapprove of the Iranian government.
We love the Kurds. We love the Kurds on the Confluence YouTube channel. We fucking love the Kurds.
Between 4 nationalities and prevented from having any independent statehood. So it seems unsurprising that
Big fan of the
don't like
Kurds.
the regime. Again, lots of people don't like the regime, but when faced with extinction by US missiles, they will realize, okay, wait, I would actually prefer to side with the regime in this situation over just let my country
W
being
Kurds,
taken by
exactly,
people who are
based.
killing children.
I mean, if
Oh yeah,
was
I don't have to control
being
my
oppressed
facial
by my
expressions because
government, I
on
would
their
I would
stream
side
I'm
with
not
someone
being
who's
seen
trying
at
to
all.
liberate me
Right?
from my government than
You're
with
just
my own
seeing
government.
because I'm
if
sharing
my government
Discord.
was
That's how the
oppressing
stream
me.
looks like.
I think that's a pretty natural reaction for people to have. I mean, I can't give you polling evidence for that because I don't think polling evidence in general in autocratic regimes is reliable, but just like inference to the best explanation, if that happened to me, I would side with the people who are fighting against my oppressive government.
Sure. I mean, I guess it's a shame that Iran isn't full of more people like you. I think also it was interesting that
So many people in
there was
Iran
a
would have
lot of
read Don
talk at the start
Quixote.
of this conflict about the CIA funding a
Or
Kurdish
not read, I suppose.
opposition to the government, and this never came through. Right, the Kurds have every reason to want to overthrow the IRGC, and they haven't made a serious effort to do so because they recognize that their survival and the survival of the people, their neighbors, the people that they know, their communities, is more important right now than their legitimate struggle for national liberation. This is true of all of the anti-regime elements in society which have been crystallized. Sorry, I've got a mint in my mouth. Who have been crystallized in support of the regime tacitly because of this war. This war has only strengthened the regime, has only strengthened the IRGC, and a continued engagement will only continue to do so.
See,
If
strength
it's
in
not
this
so much that's, what is your
popularity.
source for the CIA funding the Kurds?
Oh, see, why go into that? That
Sorry,
means
that was an
nothing.
article that I read like 2 months ago, so I might need to pull that up.
Why go into that?
If you
They
can pull
should
that
fund
up,
the
that
Kurds,
would be
to be clear.
appreciated. I'll just say that I do think, I'll take your word for it, but I do think whether or not the CIA funded the Kurds, I think if the CIA funded the Kurds is because the Kurds probably had pre-existing disenfranchisement from the Iranian government, and so they wanted to basically rebel against them. I don't think it's that the CIA funded them, so then they're against the Iranians. I think they're against the Iranians. That's why the CIA funded them, if that happened.
Sure, I'm just saying it's interesting that even with the backing of the CIA, they weren't able to launch any, which they haven't done in the past, by the way. In this situation, they decided not to use CIA support to achieve their own nationalist ends, which is very honorable, I think.
Okay.
I found an article.
Okay, if you can post that in, I don't know where.
Oh, I think Tyler said I'm not
You can
supposed to be like
actually just drop
judging
it in
on
chat
what
and I'll
people
bring it up
should be
for any
saying,
of the chats.
but I
That's
feel
why
like
we
that's
share
like
the
the
chat.
main
Cool.
issue
Drop it
here.
in
Is
your
there's
own
like
chat and
just
I'll be able to
better
pull it up and I'll
arguments that
pull it up
like
for the
This
audience.
is
Kurds
literally
could
the
be
first one I found.
making,
I don't know if this is.
and it's just like there's
in general, I
the
trust
arguments he's
myself.
making are just like not that strong is the problem.
I will just say, as I understand it, Al Jazeera is funded by the Qatari government.
It is
true.
funded by the. It's true. Yeah. Okay. He agrees it's true.
Okay, so I do see it on. Let me just see. I'm seeing it. I'm trying to find it on. Yeah, I see it. Okay. I mean, I don't really trust Al Jazeera in general because they're funded by the Qatari government. But sure, But I'm sure they probably wouldn't lie about this because this is pretty
The U.S.
easily
stands the
verifiable.
Kurds. I don't know about that.
I'll take
I
your
mean,
word for
maybe
it
you
on
know
this,
something
but
I
I'm just
don't.
saying
But
either way.
the U.S. has supported Kurds in like a number of
Yeah, so I'm
situations.
saying either way, like I said, they funded the Kurds because they're against the Iranian government, not that they're against the Iranian government because the CIA funded them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is actually this is evidence.
Am I
in my
kidding?
favor
No, I'm not
that
kidding. I mean,
even
all the stuff with
an
ISIS, they're
organized
always like
military
supporting the
group
Kurds.
inside Iran that has every reason. Look, plenty of people in Iran have plenty of reason to want to overthrow the regime. Have plenty of reason to want to overthrow it. In this situation, isn't it interesting that they refused the CIA funding?
Well, yeah,
so?
I mean, okay, yeah, they should support them more. I guess is my thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is
But
interesting.
sure,
but I think the
they
reason
get
for that was
fucked
because
over
they
in
didn't see a
Syria.
window
They
of
get fucked over in a
opportunity
lot
to
of
overthrow
places.
it. But I think with the IRGC protest against the IRGC in late 2025 to 2026, that is why there is a window of opportunity for them to overthrow their government. That's why why the Americans started the war, is because of the protest.
Right, but the war has cut across the protests, has made support for the regime stronger. What this is showing is that American engagement in Iran is making it harder to overthrow the regime.
Yeah, I mean, we only got a minute left on the clock, so I'll just wrap it up by just saying, I think I understand the argument you're making. You're saying that basically the Iranian government, no matter what, if the Americans do, if it involves bombing infrastructure, if it involves bombing ancestral sites, etc., the Iranian people are against that. And I agree that we should try to minimize civilian casualties, of course. But in any event, I don't think that the American government is going out of its way to bomb civilian infrastructure. I think that's an accident for the most part. For example, and wasn't it proven that that Iranian schoolgirls thing, wasn't that bomb found to be a failed Iranian missile that bombed it, not the Americans or Israelis, like they said?
I don't think that's been proven at all. I thought it was the
Fairly certain it
opposite.
was confirmed by a variety of sources to be an American missile.
Yeah, unless there's some like new thing,
Okay, I thought
it's been confirmed to be U.S.
I could pull up the source if you like, but I thought that was but either
Unless
way,
there's
I'm
like
saying,
unless there's
even
a
if it
new
was,
thing
I
that
think it was an
happened
accident,
recently.
and I don't think you
It's not an
you understand
accident you
the
can
psychology
make on the
fully of
beginning of
anyone.
war.
I think
That's
most people's
not an accident you can
psychology is,
fucking make.
if I'm being oppressed by someone, the people who are attacking my oppressors, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think that is the psychology most people have. There's a reason that's an expression. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so the enemy of the Iranian people is the IRGC. And so the enemy of the IRGC is the Americans. So that means they're the friend. But in any event, so the 10 seconds is going, and yeah, I guess.
In general, just to finish off, I would say that in general, yeah, that might be true, but when the enemy of the enemy is killing my children, I think that changes the situation slightly.
See, that's a mic drop.
Alright.
That's a fucking
Well,
mic
you
drop.
did that right on the button for me. I appreciate
That was a mic
both of
drop
y'all.
moment.
So we're now going to get to our closings. 3 minutes is going on the clock. It's going to be the same order, like I said. So Energy, you're going to be up first. 3 minutes on the clock. I'll start the clock when you start to talk. Go ahead and give us your closing.
So basically, I think that just to wrap this up, as we covered, Theory, he admitted that basically the polling data in autocratic regimes is not reliable. So I don't know how he can continue to claim honestly that he knows with any degree of even probabilistic, let alone certainty, that the American government is what's causing the Iranian people, is causing the American people to be against it.
That's just
I
like
do
not a
think
strong
that when you're
point.
talking about the bombing of civilians, of course, that's messed up. But I don't think it's on purpose on the Americans' part, and I think the Iranian people recognize it's not on purpose. I think the Iranian people recognize that the target is basically the theocrats.
If we can't trust polling, how do we know how the
funders
Iranian
of Hamas
people
and Hezbollah,
think about their
the people
civilians
who
being
are
killed?
responsible
I
for
feel
the
like we
deaths
should
of American and
be
Israeli
reasonable
and
to
other
assume that
citizens
they
and Iranian
don't like
citizens.
that. I think it's crazy to
tens of
think that they're
thousands
just
of
like, oh yeah,
Iranians
they
were
didn't
killed by
mean
the
to
IRGC
blow up
during
all
the
our
protests. And so
shit.
I think the Iranian people are really disenfranchised and disenchanted with their government. And so I think they would support anyone who's attacking their own government. But in any event, I'll see the rest of my time because I don't have much to say in my closing.
I think he was, Alex. I think he was like confusing it with like the guys in the hospital that was like hit by Islamic Jihad.
Start it up when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity for this debate. First of all, I've really enjoyed it. There's been a lot that I haven't been
Oh
able
yeah,
to
you said
touch
this
on,
up here. Yeah, I honestly think that's
which
what maybe he got it
kind of a
confused
good
by,
thing,
which is
means I've done my
unfortunate.
research well, but yeah, all sorts of things to do with the catastrophic effects on the global energy system and global supply chain. Huge amount of gas and oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz, but also fertilizers. All of this has the I think, the World Food Program estimates that the disruption could drive 45 million more people into acute hunger this year. In general, people around the world are blaming America.
There's nothing cute about hunger. I gotta take a point off for that. There's nothing cute about hunger.
Say, well, it's Iran that's blocking the strait.
Acute hunger. Get
Also,
out of here.
on several occasions, America has been blocking the strait. But it's quite clear to see that Iran is using the only geopolitical weapon at its disposal at the moment. This is what happens when you don't let a country get nukes, by the way, is that they find something more dangerous than a nuke to use.
It's a crazy statement, but that's fine.
The accusation that I don't understand the psychology of people, and that that Energy says that if he was living in Iran and if his children had been killed by the Americans,
gotta try so hard not to call him Kirk.
Unquestionably, he recognizes that
it's gonna come out
his enemy.
I don't know why Kirk cares. He thinks Twitch is like fucking, I don't know, Kiwi farms or some shit.
But yeah, it's quite clear that all around the world, people are seeing the weakness of the American empire.
Because I don't know if you guys could hear it, but he's telling me, he's like, make sure you don't call me Kirk. Make sure you don't use my name. You can misgender me, but make sure you don't say my name.
Markets and the
bro.
Sorry, I've lost the word. Is losing its position as global hegemon. The Gulf states are recognizing this and are making moving their oil for Chinese yuan now instead of using the dollar, and directly making deals with Iran to recognize its regional power now in the region. This is a sign of the times. This is a sign that the American empire has overextended. And the question about what the best strategy is for the regime to secure, the best possible outcome for U.S. interests is how well the U.S. regime can recognize the limits of its imperialism, not become drunk on power, but to slowly and consciously withdraw and refocus its energies domestically, which is what people in the US are crying out for. No one in America supports this war.
That's true. Yeah, I've been calling him Kirk this whole time.
For everyone, that this
that's a good point. Fuck, I should have been practicing. I should have. I'm gonna get fucked. I'm gonna get fucked. I'm also not gonna be able to say they them. That's never gonna happen. I can't do it. I physically can't.
The US leaders are not making these decisions in the interest of the American people, but for their own political ends.
Obtuse hunger. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Landed that right on the button for me as well. I appreciate that from both of you. All right, everybody. So that is the standard debate time. As I said, we're now going to go to some questions from myself and from the judges.
Oh, also, shit. I forgot about questions.
Before, if y'all have any questions that you think got left on the table or anything you want to ask.
Oh, shit. Later, I forgot questions. I forgot that was a thing.
Tip jar. Throw a question in it. Tell me who the question's for. And after our judge questions and my question, we will put y'all's questions in there as well. Then we're going to go to the voting and see who it was that brought it home tonight. But first things first, let's go to our judges. Now, usually, lately, I've been letting the judges ask questions first, but I've had a really tough week, and so I'm not sure I'm capable of a lot of wrinkle brain thinking. So I'm going to hopefully not steal y'all's questions, but if I do, fuck off. All right, we're going to go question to you first, Energy. So Marco Rubio made the statement that the United States attacked Iran because Israel was going to already. If that is the case, and if Marco Rubio says this, I believe he is our Secretary of State, it feels to me like he was not attacking Iran, or we were not attacking Iran for American best interests, but rather for Israel's. How would you respond to that?
So I would say that I'm not specifically familiar with that Marco Rubio quote, so I can't comment on it, but I'll say just more intellectually responsible and engaged with the hypothetical, I do think that if the primary motive of the American government was to do it in Israel's interest and not America's interest, it would be irrelevant, because either way, I still think it's in America's best interest for the reasons I outlined in the debate.
All right. And now, let's Chief. Do you have a question ready for Energy?
Yeah, Energy. I just kind of want it all tied together. Do you feel that the prospective benefits that you had listed outweigh the economic and political costs that the U.S. is facing, and why? Just kind of wrap that up.
I do believe that the benefits outweigh the cost, and the reason I believe this is the case is because I do not believe that the war in Iran is alienating our allies. I believe Israel, as far as I can tell, and the Israeli government supports the war against Iran. And while I'm not sure about the European governments, the European governments are not our primary allies, in my view, because while they are allies, they're not primary allies in the same way Israel is, because Israel's growing technological powerhouse in the Middle East. And so, yeah, I just think, and I don't really care what Russia or China think. So as for the economic cost, if you're talking about the people being disenchanted with the American government, I don't think the people who are disenchanted with the American government are all that important from our perspective. But as for the economic costs, like I said, the majority of spending and the majority of debt we have is on domestic programs, not on military spending.
And now, Mr. Confluence, your turn.
Oh, shit, it's
question
me.
For Energy, please.
Oh shit, my mouse isn't moving. Okay, muted, my friend. No, I know. My mouse wasn't showing up. I am here. Okay, question for Energy, because that's his name. So why would I call? That's their name. That's why Why would I call them anything else? So Energy. I guess my main question is, I want to know if you can steelman the thing you said in the opening about the possibility, and there was a bit of talking cross about this, about the possibility that China or Russia is giving Iran nuclear weapons, because you were talking about like the enrichment of uranium or anything like that. You're saying that they might have sent it over. I guess, is there anything beyond that's merely a possibility, or is there any evidence or reason you have to think that there is like some nuclear either origin sources or actual weapons being sent from these places?
So I don't believe there's direct evidence, but I do believe there's indirect evidence. And the indirect evidence is that we know that the Iranian government is not trustworthy because they are an autocratic regime. And we know that the Russian government is an autocratic regime and they're not trustworthy. And we know that China's an autocratic regime, so they're not trustworthy. And so when you have three untrustworthy people who happen to be geopolitical allies and enemies of a shared person, namely, or enemies of shared country like the United States, it's clear there's good reason to believe that they would team up against the United States' best interest because the United States is their enemy. So I would say it's indirect evidence.
Okay, thank you.
And now,
Terrible answer.
I'm
Terrible
invisible.
answer.
All right, let me put myself
Terrible
back up there.
answer.
Now we're going to go over to you, Theory. I've got a question ready. So, considering the fact that you said that Iran chose alternative methods of being dangerous or being a threat when they were denied the ability to defend themselves with nuclear weapons, does that mean that you believe that Iran was a threat to the United States before we started bombing them?
No, I don't believe there's any evidence for that. The economic damage that Iran caused by blocking off the Strait of Hormuz was always a theoretical weapon that they could have used. It was always something that had been floated as a possibility. It was something that they were forced to do because they were being bombarded by the US and Israel. It's not something that they decided to do unprovoked.
Okay, but you're saying you do not believe they were a threat to the U.S. then? Prior to
I don't
us
believe there's any
attacking.
evidence that they were an imminent threat to the US in any way that would justify the military action that was taken.
All right, cheers. And now back to you, Let's Chief. Do you have a question ready for Theory?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the main issue is that, you know, the Trump admin kind of ran ass backwards into Iran in some ways. Like the response to the benefit of, you know, potential benefit of policing a potential nuclear program is that, you know, we already had a deal and they ripped it up. When Energy said that they gained favor, it's like, well, they actually like lost favor. So it seems like, you know, if there was some unseen like nuclear threat, or things would have just turned out differently if they would have done it swift, efficiently, and better, like would it then have been in the US interest? Is it just like that the outcomes, like every particular outcome just went completely awry here?
Yeah, I believe the main reason why things went wrong was not because of any specific idiocy from the Trump regime, although that certainly played a factor. This war has been proven to be unwinnable on the terms that the American military is able to fight it. There was no way of engaging with this war that would have been a positive outcome unless, you know, JD Vance is working on a time machine. There is no way out for the American government that does not involve some amount of damage. The question now is how can we limit that damage and make it less severe?
Right. And now, Confluence. A question for Theory, please.
All right, Theory. I guess I'm curious if you think that in the long term, maybe this could be beneficial. Because I know you're talking about the asymmetrical warfare and that the IRGC is spending X amount of money, the US is spending a lot more, but obviously the US has a lot more money to throw at this situation. I agree this is harming the US in a short-term way, reputationally, monetarily, all the stuff you said. But I guess, can you agree with Energy that in the future, maybe this would be something that could actually, you know, destroy the IRGC? Surely they can't hold out forever. Your response?
Yeah, so the question of the future of this war is basically, can the world find a way of getting oil around that doesn't involve going through the Strait of Hormuz before the Iranians can figure out either how to get a nuke or how to get something that does something similar to a nuke, some sort of deterrent? And I don't really want to find out the answer to that question. I don't really want to get into this arms race with quite a powerful part of the world about who can destroy the other one. I think this is generally a bad way of doing world trade, of going about world politics. If you want to, if the genuine aim of the Americans was ensuring that Iran didn't get nuclear weapons, the JCPOA wouldn't have been torn up, and there were many diplomatic means of coming back to a deal like that didn't involve just bombing Iran to hell because Israel says so. So yeah, nothing about this is being done in a way to serve the aims that it's said to serve.
I guess if I can ask a brief follow-up, I'm just curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think Iran could hold on for another, like, even, let's say, a couple of years? Like, do you think that's a realistic thing? Like, I understand what you're saying, that maybe they're going to use a dirty bomb or something's going to be bad, but like long term, surely the IRGC cannot last. Like, are you just saying the cost is too high for them to not last, or do you actually think that they could continue to hold on and just like do this war forever?
I'm saying that if we make this question of Iran having nukes a question of survival for a country of 90 million people, which are highly educated, they are going to come up with some very creative ways of surviving that are going to be very detrimental to us here in the West.
That's fair. Thank you.
All right. Well, there we go. It looks like we do not have any questions from the chatters tonight, at least not for this debate. So that means we are going to go ahead and go straight to our voting and our judges' responses. So I'm going to give the judges a couple of seconds to think this up, do some scoring, tallying, whatever it is that they do behind the scenes. And meanwhile, I'm going to drop a link into the chat. I want everybody to understand this costs.
Oh yeah, send it to me, Horse.
Please click this
link.
Send it to me. And hope go vote. It literally just takes you a split second, but I want you to tell us if you believe energy on the affirmative or theory on the negative made the most compelling case tonight. Again, I'm not asking who you agree with. I'm not asking who you think is prettier. I'm not asking you who you want to see win. I'm asking who you think made the most compelling case tonight. Who was the best debater? So that said, I'm going to drop those links real quick. You should be able to see those in your chat as well, Theory. I'm going to go ahead and go drop those links into Kick. And
can you send it to me, Horse, as well, if possible?
Absolutely, certainly, yes, sir. And boom, 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 and send this over to Confluence.
Did IJ raid me? I feel like I got a lot of new chatters.
Confluence, there he is. All right.
Don't know if he did.
Boom, boom. All right, now.
Okay.
All right, so
everyone,
that is again
vote.
A link to straw poll where we can tally up the votes, and we will go.
Oh, IJ did. Oh, I didn't know. Why? Thank you, Mods, for telling me not
honorable judges and see where they came in on this. Let's, Chief. I'm gonna give you the microphone first. Are you ready to render judgment, sir?
I guess if I do it live, unless Confluence is more prepared right now.
Confluence, if you're prepared to go, we can go ahead and go with you.
Yeah, we can start with me. I got you, Let's Chief.
All right.
I got you. Okay.
Thanks, brother.
All right, Confluence, where'd you land on this and why?
All right, so just to, I guess, walk through the notes I've been taking. So I think Kirk had an opening. I don't know if he set the stage. But God damn it! Okay, I already did. I already messed it up. Okay. I literally have it at the top of my screen. Call him Energy, and I still messed it up. I'm sorry, Energy. I can only do one thing at a time. Okay,
it's so good. It's so good.
It's like a freaking brain teaser. Okay, so I will try. So Energy in the opening, I think your opening didn't feel like the strongest to me, just in my opinion. I don't know if you tied it correctly with everything that came to follow, but it was an opening, and I think it was fine. There's some questions I have. I'll save them for the after party, of course. I think the cross I think was decent, especially when Theory was asking you about the nuclear weapon allegations. And Energy, I wrote my notes as his name, which is terrible. That's gonna make me screw up. But yeah, Energy was asking if they're an honest actor, which I think is a fair question. But I thought Theory's cross was pretty good. When I thought Theory's opening was very strong, talking about the strategic and political military failures, talking about the economic stuff, talking about all of the aspects that have made the life worse for America. I thought it was a compelling opening. Kirk's cross, I don't think I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Energy's, I shouldn't have taken notes this way. Energy's cross, I don't think was as good. I think they used some of their time to just talk instead of making best use of the cross. So I wasn't a big fan of that. And the open talk thing, I know I'm not supposed to necessarily be, saying what someone should have said, so I'm not going to say that. But I just think the arguments that Energy brought up, I think were were pretty kind of easily rebutted by theory. I think maybe there could have been stronger arguments. I know I'm not supposed to weigh it on that, so I'm just looking at the arguments that were
No, you
given.
absolutely are. I'm
Oh,
sorry
I
to
am?
clarify. Yes, that is
Okay.
literally your job, my dude.
Okay, great. So, well, then in that case, I think there is way stronger arguments. I think we could have gone into the enrichment of uranium. I think we could have gone more into the long term. I think instead of just saying, especially the question I asked you, Energy, I thought was not correctly answered, and then you kind of gave the same answer you did in the debate. I think there's a lot of other things you could have talked about that led to this war or caused this war. And I don't. So I think your points were a little milquetoast. And I think that all of the points I think were strongly addressed by theory. In the closing, Energy's main point was that polling is uncertain. In my opinion, that was the main point. Theory's closing tied it all together, the catastrophic effects, all of that stuff. And when I think the real nail drop, or that's not a mic drop moment, the nail in the coffin, I'm confusing my metaphors, is when I talk about the friend of my friend, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And then I think theory said something like the enemy of my enemy stops being my friend when they're killing my children. And I thought that kind of sealed the whole thing. So I would give this as which way am I supposed to say this? The affirmative. So I guess
a total of 10. Yeah.
So a 3-7, 3 for Energy, 7 for theory. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded. I don't know if I took too long, but yeah.
No, that was perfect, my dude. Again, you're still kind of new to judging here with us. I want your actual feedback. What I don't want my judges doing is arguing with the debaters, and I don't want you fact-checking the debaters per se. But if you know that there were better arguments that could have been made, or you feel that somebody was not making sufficient arguments, that is absolutely something that we are here about. Again,
Great.
If you feel like they could have made better arguments, let them know. We're all trying to get better here. And yeah, so that everybody knows, because I didn't mention this, the scoring goes 10 points total distributed across the two debaters as the judges see fit, anywhere from 5-5 to 10-0 or 0-10. So the first number that you hear is going to be the affirmative.
Called him Kirk so many times. Oh
after
God, I
listening to
wrote
that,
in my
you
notes
ready to
Kirk.
run
I don't
the
know why I
judgment?
fucking did that.
I am. What I really needed the time for, you see, was to dig deep and be brave, knowing that I was going to make an enemy of every single chatter and contributor here. Because
is he giving the point to Kirk?
I feel
Energy?
like the main counters to Energy's points about, nuclear program policing, the shift of the people against the regime, long-term oil security, and like defunding, them funding Hamas and Hezbollah. I feel like the main answer to those was that the results didn't go well. They fucked up, but that to me is kind of different than like saying that it completely went upside down, was on its head, and went horribly is different than saying it wasn't in the interest. So when the response to the nuclear program policing is that the U.S. ripped up that deal, I feel like just even acknowledging that it would be good to have that deal means
Remember, get your
inherently
votes
in the interest. So for me, I feel like saying that these things went horribly and have actually had the opposite of their goal does say that they went horribly. But to me, I don't know if it makes the bar of saying that it's not in the interest. It's just that they fucked it up. So that was my perspective. I'm going to be everyone's enemy tonight. I'm going to give it 6-4 Energy.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's
so,
crazy.
6-4. Energy.
The audience decides.
When the judges disagree,
get your votes in, people.
That means that it's as it should be. The audience decides.
Yeah, so, let's fucking go.
So I dropped the link a second time. I'm going to do it one more time. Please, if you have not yet, click this link. Your vote is the one that matters. We need to once again. Do you believe it was Energy to Hampter on the affirmative who made the most compelling case, or do you believe that it was Theory Unchained? Now, to answer and address chat, I want to clarify again. It's not necessarily that I want the judges, because there is one of our judges, no names mentioned, who does have a tendency to say, well, I like these talking points more. That is not what I am asking for. I am saying that if you believe that there are stronger arguments that can be made to support that case, then I want, because the judges are not supposed to go based on what they personally think or feel or believe. Ancom, God love him, is one of the best about this. He will, even though he believes one way, he will judge the debaters based on effective rhetoric. That is the whole idea. We all love Ancom, Bisky. We all love Ancom. All right. So did you guys get the chance to vote? I sure hope so, because we don't have a whole lot more time to cook on this.
I'm curious. I'm curious what people
until
think.
I can pull it up. 3, 2, 1.
We do a
Okay,
land
let's
acknowledgement.
go. We have got
Let's
a
see.
decent number of votes.
Let's see who won.
And boom. It looks like the votes are in, and it is 17-5 for the negative. That is, Jesus, that is a 2-8 win, according to the audience. 2-8 in favor of the negative. So,
Okay.
great job, Theory.
I'm not
Your
crazy.
first time here.
I'm not crazy. I thought I was crazy for a
Definitely
second.
appreciate it.
I
And
thought I was crazy.
again, you did exactly what we
Let's
asked.
she
I wanna
freaking
thank both of
gaslighting me
y'all,
hardcore.
because, as I said, you've already set the tone for the evening. That was a very respectful conversation, but y'all definitely got into the meat of it, and you were able to disagree and
now
do
we're
so
going
in a
there.
productive manner. And it appeared to me as everybody was in good faith. So, Theory, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Energy, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. You're always one of our favorite debaters here, so you will continue showing up regardless of who wins. The score is just for bragging rights. But your first time here, Theory, please, I would encourage you to hang out, listen to the other debates, and then in the after party, you're going to get to weigh in on everybody who's coming after me. But if you don't have time, you got to go. I know you're on the other side of the planet. If you got to go, man, I appreciate you, and we will definitely be in touch. So everybody got their links in the beginning. We will get back to you guys in the after party. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move straight into our second debate of the evening, everybody. That second debate is, hang on, sorry. Boom. Second debate is going to be very spicy. I'm going to reiterate, I know I am seriously just barking into the dark. Please, y'all, keep your shots above the belt as much as possible. I know that's not going to be easy for y'all. Just don't get me fucking TOS. That's all I ask, okay? Just don't get me TOS. I don't want my streaming career to end tonight.
I'm about to whip my dick
Sharia
out.
law
I'm
and
so
the Eastern
close.
Orthodox Church
So
have
close.
similar moral characters. We are going to go to our affirmative first vigilante TV.
Actually, I'm gonna whip my dick
DMZ.
off, but
Please, Vigi,
Oh,
tell
but
everybody
just
who
off
you are,
camera.
what you're about, and
I
where
gotta
they can
pee
find
real
you.
bad.
Drop your link in the chat. You got to unmute first, though, buddy.
God damn it, we all do this.
Every
I'm the
time.
Vigilante TV. You can find me here on Twitch at the Vigilante TV. You can find me on Twitter and TikTok as well, and YouTube. I need to start co-streaming to YouTube. Yeah, I am actually streaming tonight, so I normally am not doing that.
All right, so make sure you guys give that a link a follow. Give the man, give a click and a follow, and show him some love. And same thing goes for this cat right here. Emmett, please tell everybody who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you. Your link is in the chat as well.
My name is, you can find me at Count Emmett in YouTube. I only do streams on YouTube. I do a political commentary and ethics debates. And I make fun of people, especially lefties or idiots on the internet, which is my favorite thing to do. And I hope that that's not the case today. We have a great debate, but if it's the case, I will make fun of idiots on the internet because it's my favorite thing to do. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I do enjoy giving people the opportunity to make fun of each other. All right. So one more time, Sharia law and the Eastern Orthodox Church have similar moral character. 3 minutes is going to go on the clock for an uninterrupted opening from you, Vigilante. I will start the clock when you start to talk.
back just in time.
So
What
the reality
good
that a lot of Christians
planning.
don't
Let's
want
fucking
to hear
go.
is that Sharia law is Islamic ethics that are informed by Christian and Jewish ethics that came before it. Muslim ethics is Judeo-Christian ethics with a few slight modifications. This becomes obvious when we analytically look at the text and the spirit of the ethics in the Abrahamic trio. It also becomes self-evident. The prompt asks us whether these systems share underlying character, which fundamentally is a question of structural similarity and underlying values, not surface-level policy comparison. In this debate, we must define what we mean by moral character. This is the underlying architecture of an ethical system. It's telos, its method of moral reasoning and how it relates to spiritual life, not a checklist of penalties or enforcement. Let's go through a few examples that they share a
Shit, I'm out of
rejection
Zans.
unearned
Okay, I can
gains.
still hear it.
Usury
Please.
and gambling are both categorically forbidden in both Sharia and Orthodox paristic
Is that
tradition.
true?
The church sees it as an act of interest taking and exploitation of the needy. Both Islam and Orthodoxy ground this in the same moral principle that profit without labor or risk taken at another's expense is theft. The same principle applies to gambling by both. Both systems define the moral life as a progressive.
Actually, I know I'm not supposed to be
assimilation
fact checking,
God,
but that's
not
just wrong.
a
Like Muslim
a
people can't
compliant
do
safe
like
system.
normal mortgages if they're
Obedience
like
is
strict
instrumental to divine
because of
rightness,
interest. Like they can't do
not
like any
the point
interest.
itself.
That's
Both
why they have like a special way of
integrate
doing
this
mortgages.
through reasoned tradition method rather than raw command. Both traditions refuse the secular separation of legal and spiritual life. Sharia governs spiritual, ethical, and legal life as one. Orthodox canon law functions the same way, refusing to separate the material observance from the soul's transformation towards the kingdom. Both traditions, when fused with state power, produce structurally identical patterns. We see this when we compare Russia, who's heavily influenced by the Orthodox Church, to Islamic practices in the Middle East.
That's an insane
Sacred territorial
point.
claims, war reframed as sacred duty, the suppression of internal dissent. Both cases, the tradition's own theologians reject this as weaponization as corruption, not an expression of authentic doctrine. This shows that the shared moral character is self-evident. This is just the start of the moral comparisons that can be drawn between the two. The Quran even states that God has revealed the laws for all. To quote from the Quran itself, judge then in the affairs of men in accordance with the law that Allah has revealed, and do not follow their desires in disregard of the truth which has come to you. For each of you we have appointed the law and a way of life, and Allah has so willed it. He would surely have made you one single community. Instead, he gave each of you a law and a way of life in order to test you by what he gave you.
No, I'm getting confused between the two. Testicle Johnson and Dick Johnson is crazy.
So, Emmett, 3 minutes is going on the clock for you. Cross-examine. This is.
I didn't
your
like that
time to
opening. I'm
cross-examine
really
on the
trying
clock.
to not be biased
As you
on
see
this,
fit,
but
I will start the
and I
clock
like
when you start
Vigi,
to
but
talk.
I didn't like that opening.
Perfect. So, first question: what is ethics?
Oh no, is he running tag?
Ethics
Don't run
is
tag.
the,
Please don't run
uh,
tag, Emmett. Oh my god.
Is the
Please don't
way
tag
that a
him.
moral system functions in reality.
And would you agree with me that the moral system decides what is good?
The moral system decides what is good. Ethics is how it is actually done in practice.
Since you are the person that says that these systems are similar, how do you get to the point of you saying what is good?
My
Oh no.
own personal beliefs are irrelevant to the debate because of the fact that I am neither a Christian nor I am a Muslim.
I don't
you
think
don't
you would
know
need
what
to.
is good at all?
I don't think you would have to know if you're saying they share a
I
similar
personally
moral
use a
character.
consequentialist standard.
I don't think you actually would
I
have to.
actually
You're just trying to say
disagree with the
they're
ethics of
similar.
both
You're not trying to
Islam
say
and
what is good or
Eastern
what's
Orthodox
not.
Christianity, which is why I see them as similar.
Okay, so use a consequentialist standard. So you think the consequences of being a Christian and being a Muslim are the same?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So you would say that, for example, if I were to look at the IQ of a Christian nation, if I were to look at an IQ of a Muslim nation, they would have the same IQ, right?
Oh no! Why are we going there?
I mean, IQ
Why
is
are we
not
going
an
there?
accurate measure of pretty much fucking
What does that
anything
have to?
except
What does that have to do with the?
problem solving.
What does that have to do with the moral system?
So for example, fucking your
not sure.
cousins.
Oh no, he's Andrew Wilsoning.
Yeah, you mean incest, which is
He's Andrew
treated
Wilsoning.
as which is actually something
Yeah.
that is forbidden in
Acceptable
both.
in one. No, it's completely
no,
acceptable in Islam, but we can.
It
I
is
mean,
not
if you don't wanna, if you don't wanna, if you don't wanna
No,
go
No,
into
God,
that,
no,
that's
no. I'm a
fine.
Christian. I'm a Christian.
You said the
Yeah, you
telos.
can
What
go
is the
there if you want.
telos of Islam?
I've got.
Never go full Andrew
That
Wilson.
was
Yeah, I know.
not something I looked into too much. I was mostly going for comparisons here.
So you don't know the telos of either the Islam.
Yeah, but
position or
cousin
the
fucking
Christian
is
position. You just
the
mentioned
problem. So
idea of
that's
telos.
where Emmett's going there, and that's his argument is
never
going to be
actually
that
got into the
contributes to
telos
lower
of them,
IQ.
No, I didn't look into the telos of either position. I don't.
But I think cousin
necessarily
fucking was
think
fine in the Orthodox
entirely
Church until like a
relevant.
certain
you
year in
mentioned
which
that
they like
will
decided it's not
have,
okay.
Like,
So you know,
structure patterns that are similar,
but
but you
Islam
only
hasn't done
mentioned
that yet. Apparently,
surface level similarities, which is kind of weird. Like, yeah, they both agree.
yeah, I know.
with
Yeah, I
Jeff being wrong.
agree.
That would be
I agree.
surface
It's
level, wouldn't it?
irrelevant.
Oh, yeah, I use those specific examples for a reason. I have plenty
They
more
have
that will
a-
show up during the debate.
Yeah. Do you have an structural example in which both of them are structurally the same?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's
That
not
you should
about
have an answer
structure,
for
it's
this.
about moral character. The actual structure doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
but he
the
said it's-
moral character behind
But he said
the-
it's not.
the two
He said
systems is what
Vinci
matters.
said it's not about the
Okay.
superficial stuff.
you.
So then,
Alright.
is
We're
it
gonna
not
go
about
ahead
the
and go to
structure?
your openings now, Emmett. 3 minutes is on the clock for you, sir. I'll start it up when you start to talk.
I wasn't actually sure of where he was going to go, but as we can hear from him a moment ago, he just disagreed with himself. If you don't have a structure, you don't have a you have a structural similarity, right? These were all surface levels. In reality, what we're looking is
okay, that's a
that
strong
person
point, 'cause
who
that's
uses,
exactly how I
according to
feel.
him, some kind of
I don't know why Vinci wouldn't just
consequentialism.
point out
In
the structural
reality,
similarities.
We all know that you're not a consequentialist. You're a
Because he doesn't like
subjectivist. It's an
structural, he
accordance to
doesn't
you.
like superficial. Then what is he
Fine,
talking about?
We'll use subjectivism, okay? So you only care, sorry, not subjectivism. We're going to use consequentialism. You only care about the consequences of the actions. Except, what are we going to do to say this consequence is good and this consequence is bad? Oh, I know, my own moral subjective standard. Whatever he's trying to tell you about this proposed, ethical framework, in reality, he doesn't have one. He doesn't have access to it. He only has preferences, right?
Oh
you
no!
can't
Why do we?
prefer that
Why do we
the
always
Muslims
do?
and the
Why do we
Christians have
always
the
go
same
this
ethics
way?
and the same systems? But if you actually look at the, societies of them both of them, they're different. They have different values. They value different things. When I ask him, for example, about the idea of IQ, he tried to run away from it because in reality we know that cousin fucking is accepted directly in Muslim society, and that has affected their IQ. While it's not,
I think
it's
that's
not something
I think
that
that's
we
such an
agree on,
irrelevant point.
we think is good when it comes to the Christian ideations, right? Thus, I'm not entirely sure what the hell he's saying that is correct or similar, because I don't know what he
Emmett's
means by
strong
good even.
point was this
Is,
that Vinci
he's
didn't
gonna
want to talk
come
about
to
structure.
me
He doesn't
and
want to talk
attempt to
about
take from my
superficial
system and
things.
say,
So what does he
"This is
mean
good
by
in
saying
your
they have similar
system."
moral character?
But
If it's
you
not
don't know
structural,
it. You're saying that
it's
two
not
completely different
orthopraxis.
systems are similar.
Then what's happening
Even
here?
though the system in itself are, it's different.
Should lean into
Surface
that. You should
level,
lean into that.
Similar. The structure of it, well, very different. With that, I'm ready to go into the cross. Let's see what happens.
All right. Vigi, 3 minutes is on the clock for you. Go ahead and pause, stop, reset. Go ahead and start it up whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So, question. Just because you did mention the insects thing, and I do have a verse from the Quran here. Have you actually read the Quran?
Why should I read the Quran? Just asking.
Yeah.
As a
I mean,
clarification.
you want to. I mean, you're saying that like incest is not forbidden in
He said cousin fucking isn't
Islam,
forbidden.
but it is
Said
very
cousin-
clearly forbidden.
cousin
in the
fucking
Quran. I
is,
can even
Vigi?
give you the
give
book
us
and
the
verse.
give us the fucking verse.
Okay, show me the book and the verse.
Give us the
Hey,
If you
source.
want to
so-
drop it
Oh,
into
before-
the chat- if you
wait,
want to
wait,
drop
wait.
it into the chat, I'll bring it up onto the screen as well.
Yeah. And I
I'll
want to
stop
ask
the
you
time.
another
Okay.
clarifying. I want to ask you a clarifying question with that. Why should I?
It means like your action, like orthodoxy is like your right views, like lowercase
I mean,
orthodoxy.
you don't need to listen to my
Orthopraxis is like
interpretation of
right
it.
action.
You can fucking
So
read it yourself.
praxis is like the
where it quite
practical
literally
action.
says
Yeah.
not
But,
not to commit incest.
Doesn't say anything about cousin fucking.
All right, so hold on one second.
But it's an
I do have the
irrelevant
clock
point. Like,
stopped.
I don't know
just
how
wanna
that
go ahead and
really
bring this up on the
matters,
screen
but-
for everybody.
But Vinci
Looks
shouldn't be
like
going into
the
this, in my opinion.
Sahih International says,
If someone gives a weak
"And do
point,
not
just
marry
ignore the weak
those women
point.
whom your fathers married, except what was already occurred. Indeed, it was an immorality and hateful to Allah and was evil in a way. Prohibited for you for marriage are your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your father's sisters, your mother's sisters, your brother's daughters, your sister's daughters, your milk
So not
mothers
cousins.
who nursed you,
Why
your
would Vigi
sisters
pull this
through
up?
nursing, your wives,
Why would he
mothers,
pull
and
this
your
up?
stepdaughters under your guardianship.
Yeah, it's not cousins.
Born
It's
of your
not
wives
cousins.
unto whom you have gone in.
This
But
is
if you
such a
have not
misstep.
gone in
It's an
unto
irrelevant
them,
point
there
that
is
Vigi
no
shouldn't
step
go into.
upon you, and also prohibited are the wives of your sons, who are from your own loins, and that you take in marriage two sisters simultaneously, except for what has already occurred. Indeed, Allah is ever forgiving and merciful. I do not believe that I read anything in there that said no cousins.
Oh, see, even Horace
As you were
knows. Even Horace fucking knows.
Back on.
Before we
Horace
move-
fucking
before we
logging.
move forward, you said that I just want to know, really want to know if I am the normative authority or you're the
Cousin
normative
fucking is a
authority
type of
when it comes to the
incest.
reason of the passage of
Look,
the
I don't think
Quran.
this is a good
So
argument.
that
I don't
we
think
have
that,
the
I think
same,
the cousin
the
fucking is
understanding
irrelevant, to
that
be
is correct.
clear.
Neither of us are normative.
I'm just saying
authorities when it
incest
comes
is a
to
type
these
of,
things.
or cousin fucking is a type of incest,
Neither
and
of
he
us are normative
clarified.
authorities when it comes to
Yeah, it
either
did,
religion.
yeah, the
because
Quran does
neither of
specify
us
nieces and
are a member of
nephews,
the
yeah.
priesthood of either religion. This
Perfect.
is all
Agree.
open to interpretation by anybody who reads it. So
Okay, so it would be my interpretation versus your interpretation, right? My interpretation is that they're different, and your interpretation is that they're the same.
Nieces
and
and nephews
what
are
is gonna
not
be the thing
cousins,
that's
Rick.
gonna
What do you
make
think a
us
cousin is?
decide whether or not it's gonna be your feelings?
No, it
versus my
said. Oh no,
feelings?
it didn't say
Is the
nieces
debate
to
that
it.
you are
No, it said
proposing
like
right
you
now?
shouldn't fuck your niece. You shouldn't like you
That's
shouldn't
how
fuck your
debates work, buddy.
brother's wife's kid or whatever the
So
fuck.
it's just feelings versus feelings? Is you really gonna tell me that the way that you're gonna ask about those whole thing, they're similar because I feel that way? Is that your proposition right now?
that's literally how debates work, buddy. Anyways, so
Great,
you're
great.
against abortion as well, right?
So what? What does it have to do with abortion
Yeah.
with this debate?
Yeah, abortion does matter because both tradition it is forbidden in both traditions.
Okay, tied structurally, Vigi. Tied
Homosexuality.
structurally.
You're against homosexuality.
No, this is not the super. This is not the more superficial things.
Do they have to do anything? It's like there's a specific reason as to why they're similar.
This is
God,
all
now I'm
about moral
confused if
character.
Vigi
This
is trying to
showing
talk
that they
about.
have similar moral character. You're against homosexuality as well, right?
But isn't
So are
that?
the
I
fucking
thought Vigi
Muslims.
kind of was saying that's not that we shouldn't look at the surface level.
The surface level, when it comes
Yeah,
to the
see,
actual thing,
that's a
they're
good point.
completely different. That's the point.
Yeah, you can argue that there's a structural difference, and I'll agree that there is a structural difference. But the structural
Okay,
difference
then
doesn't
we
actually
agree.
matter because this
Thank you.
isn't about a structural difference. This debate is about whether or not they are similar in moral character. Structure
What does
not
that
fucking
mean?
matter there.
I honestly don't know what he means.
Matters a lot
If it
because that
doesn't
is the
mean
moral character.
superficial,
what exactly is the moral, the ethics, right? We were talking
I
about the
actually
ethics.
don't know what
is
he
the ethics
means.
again?
I don't know what Vigi means.
The ethics is how the moral.
What does that mean?
is
What does that
informed in
mean,
reality.
Testy? If Vigi is saying it's not
The morals
structural
inform into it. So
and
it
it's
would
not
be a
how it actually
system
works, boots on
that
the ground. It's not about the
people
similarities
follow
that
so
you
that they can
see. Then
structure their
what is the
morals, right?
argument?
Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and put the 15 minutes on the clock. You guys can just keep it going from there. Start it right back up.
Yeah, this crosstalk is kind of bled into the opening.
That makes sense.
That is correct. Yes.
So it's a system, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a system. It's more of a guideline, just a guideline that is that informs the ethics.
It's like and the guideline has to be the thing that is similar, right? So you're talking about the system that has to be similar. It's not about whether or not they have similarities in the surface. It has to be in the system itself, right?
No, the underlying moral character.
What does that mean?
The underlying thing, the structure.
If it's not the structure, what does it
structure,
mean?
again, doesn't matter because
Then-
they are structurally
Emma
different.
should ask
Just
him
like every
what
single
he
version
exactly
of
means.
Christianity is structurally different. You can.
There's
like,
no
by-
different
by
versions
thi-
of Christianity. There's only one.
Oh no!
There are
Oh, God.
multiple other versions of Christianity.
Kill me.
There's the Eastern
Kill
Orthodox
me.
Church,
Well,
there's the Catholic
what
Church.
version?
there's
What version are we
all the
talking
different
about right now?
Yeah,
Well,
right
that's
now
true.
we're talking.
That's true. Right now we're talking about that, but
Specifically, is the Eastern Orthodox Church, but by the
Because
standards
that's
that
the
you're
only
going with,
Christianity.
by the
Why go down
by
that path?
the
That's why go
standard
down that
you're
path.
going with. Just so you know, that
Emmett
means
can't
that
control
By the
himself.
reality
of
Emmett
it.
cannot control himself.
by all of the other by the fact that all of the other versions of Christianity have a different structure, no version of Christianity has a similar moral character, and that is just not reality. You don't have to have the
Well,
same
they
structure in
can
order
follow.
to have.
Yeah, that is correct, because we have to talk about what is the good, right? So when you are following the idea of what God is, so that God has has specific character of what you're supposed to follow, the question becomes, what God are you following, right? And if you're following something that is not God, you're not following what God is, then you're following something completely different. Even if you call it the same thing, it will be a word concept fallacy, what you will be doing, because we are referencing completely different things. You just call it Christian and think it's the same, but it's not.
Yeah.
So many
so,
side quests here. There's so many
Like-
fucking side quests.
Like I said, though, the structure isn't what matters. It's doctrinally what the underlying morals are. That is what
Mhm.
matters.
Isn't that
So,
Doctrine.
How does he
distinguish that from a
In the doctrine
structure?
of Christianity,
I
you
need
have
to know. I
follow
wish I could
something
ask my question
specifically
right now.
in order to be moral. What is the thing that you have to follow?
depends on the branch of Christianity. From my understanding,
I'm gonna tell
with
you. You know, it's fine.
with
You follow the
you-
will of God, right? Following the will of God will get you to the moral character. Will be the good thing. Are the
Okay,
Christians
Muslims
and
believe
the
that
Muslims
too,
following
obviously.
the same God?
I would say that they are, yes.
Okay, so you are okay with heresy when it comes in accordance to the church, right?
Of course, Vigi is okay with heresy. Why would he be? I don't think Vigi's like
Uh,
religious. Like, why would he give a fuck? Unless he is, I don't know. But
Depends
you know.
on what you're defining as heresy.
I mean, that would be something that goes against the church knowingly. So in your case, you're telling me, oh, they follow the same thing, even though we literally say, hey, you are in error, obviously and openly against the church. But you think this is the same thing, right?
I mean, what
You're
is heresy
correct,
to one
because you
church is
think
not
that
going to
is
be heresy to another. What is going to be heresy to one
Perfect.
church is not going to be considered heresy to another.
So it depends upon you. It will be, since it's not heresy in accordance to you, it wouldn't be heresy.
The church can absolutely consider it heresy. I have no problem with that.
Do you consider it heresy?
I don't really consider heresy a thing because I'm not a Christian. So
Okay.
Perfect. So
God, can I give 5-5? Am I allowed to give 5-5? I just think I don't know. I don't know if
in accordance to what it
I like
actually
either
is,
of
right?
these, either of what's happening.
yeah, you can call me a fucking heretic. I'm not going to care because I'm not a Christian.
No, I'm not calling you
So-
a heretic. I'm calling you a preferencist. It's my preference. They're the same because
No,
I
no, no,
prefer
no,
it.
no.
That's what I'm calling you. It's just a preference.
Yeah, we're talking about doctrinal similarities between the two religions. That is at its core what the underlying moral similarity is the doctrinal similarities.
So the way that we
Oh.
do it when it comes to Christianity, which is a duty-based system, and in the other side, which is a law-based system, you think that duty-based versus a law-based, for example, the way that the Catholics would see it is a little bit more similar to the Muslims, because they're based in
Vatican
like
II.
natural law. You think there's no
Fucking
difference
Vatican
between
II,
natural
man.
law and duty-based systems?
I mean, duty-based doesn't have an actual enforcement mechanism within it, but the moral structure behind it is still there.
No, we do have we have a way to enforce it. Government is still a thing when it comes to Christianity. In Christianity, you ought follow the terrestrial authorities, which are said, which are still in place. But
you realize
we are
that's
not
how-
legalistic.
You do realize that
we're not legalistic in the way that we look at it. That the legal
You do-
part comes from the
in
state. It's not from
This
the church.
debate, I think, is so fucked.
you do realize
It's so
that in a lot of
fucked. Like, I don't think
Islamic
they're
countries, that's
talking.
also how it works, right?
I don't think they're talking about what they're supposed to be
They have
talking about,
secular
in my
courts,
opinion.
but they also have
Mhm.
Sharia-based courts. They
So
have
if you don't pay the
secular
zakat,
courts that leave
if
things
you-
open to interpretation.
correct. If you don't pay the taxes that are given by the Quran, it wouldn't
Like,
matter.
Emmett
right?
could go into
Because it's not
specific
something that is
cases
enforceable.
of Sharia law, right? He could do that. He's not
I
doing
mean,
that.
that would entirely depend on
But then
whether or not
Vigi, I don't know what Vigi's
the,
stance is still,
Muslim
because
country
he
that
doesn't
is-
want to talk about the morals on the
is
ground. He doesn't
actually
want to talk
enforcing
about the
it.
structural stuff.
So,
But
because
We're
there
just
is
in
no
like
enforcement.
side quest
Should
after
they
fucking
enforce
side
it?
quest,
The-
unless
the
I'm
countries,
crazy.
Should they enforce that tax to the Muslims?
I mean, I necessarily don't care whether or not they
care.
enforce the different taxes.
Do
Look,
we have a taxes when it comes to the church that it has to be enforced by the secular
Okay,
government?
I'm not
Well,
crazy because yeah,
secular,
that's what
but
I
it's not
think. This is
secular.
like
But
I
by the
honestly, I think
by
this
the
should be like a
terrestrial government,
5-5
is
or
there
like a
tax that is enforced
0-0.
by the church?
Honestly, like I think
tithing,
both
I
sides
do
are
not
just not
believe
doing a
is
good job of the
enforced
prompts.
enforced by the government in any system.
I don't think I'm allowed to give a 5-5 though, am I? Probably not.
I mean,
I'm probably not allowed to do that.
I thought they were very similar, but apparently they're completely different in the way that even
Yeah,
taxes are
you can say,
imposed.
Like
you
Emmett's
can say you're
opening
not
was
away
making me
and point out
mad,
small
but I don't.
structural
But
differences.
Vigi
That's
could
all
be
you're
doing so
There are
much. I
plenty
think.
They're huge.
of
Wait, they're huge differences. What are you talking about?
their
You think a
structural
wealth
differences. They're not
tax?
things that actually there are structural differences. Structural differences don't matter. It's the underlying moral things, like the fact that neither of them
Okay, good. Give examples, Vigi.
actually categorize marital rape as a thing. In both traditions, marital the
Okay, well, that's
women are considered to be
that's a thing.
the sexual access have men are considered to have a sexual access right to women. So marital rape is not a thing in either religion.
Do you
Those are
think?
the
Do you think?
types of things that matter.
Yeah. Do you think in the ethical system, when it comes to the Christians, that abuse is permitted in marriage? Ought men or do men have the right to abuse their wives?
There is no enforcement mechanism by the church. Actually, the church is against divorce. So what enforcement mechanism would there be? Both the Islam and the church are against divorce. So how would
we are against divorce, but there is
right now I'm
reasons
leaning
for
toward
divorce,
that. I wish I could just give a
including, for
5-5
example,
though.
abuse.
Because like I feel like it's a fucking coin flip. 'Cause I
Yeah,
just
no,
don't
that's
think
actually
either of them
different.
are doing
Because
good.
the church, no version of Christianity that I've ever participated in accepts divorce for any reason. So
Except for the Orthodox Church. The Orthodox Church.
I mean,
accepts
Tessie
divorce
Tessie's
for
making it.
around
Tessie's
7
making a
to
joke
8,
to be clear.
reasons. You have
To be
to go
clear
through the
about.
priest, and the
It's
priest
making a
will go
joke.
through the case, and depending upon the judgment, they also, they will go ahead and say that
Yeah, it was a
marriage is an
joke.
important sacrament, and they
Calm
will try
down.
to keep
What the fuck?
the people within the sacrament. But there are reasons for divorce. You want me to? I can try to.
Well, now if I
find
pick
it.
Testie's thing, now everyone's gonna be like,
reasons
"Did you
as
just
to
listen to
why.
what Testie said?" Fuck
You want
me.
to
Now
read
do I
that to
pick the
you?
opposite of what Testie said?
no,
Oh
it's
no.
fine. But so you're saying that you would consider marital rape as abuse, correct?
Why are we going through a marital
You have to
work?
understand
This is
that the
side
reason
quest
why it
after
has nothing
fucking
to do with
side
the
quest.
abuse. The abuse would
This is
be,
nothing to do with anything. I mean, I
complete
like
thing
them
that is
talking about this.
completely
It just
against
has
the moral
nothing to do
system.
with
It's just that every
anything.
single
Now we're
action
just in a
when it comes to
marital
marriage,
grape
the sex is,
fucking
there's no
talk, which
problem
don't
with
threaten me
that
with a good
part.
time. Okay, not
Okay?
not
We
that I want
see every
talking about it
action
to
or
be
every
clear, not doing
interaction
it.
outside of
Obviously,
marriage to be
be very
akin
clear.
to abusing each other when it comes to the sexual thing. But in marriage, it is permitted. There's no
Yeah,
problem.
now I gotta go
the
against.
abuse,
Now I gotta
that is the
I
problem
gotta show
that
my
you people
bias
don't
against
get
the
about
person.
whole
Bias,
argument.
you
The
know. So,
abuse
oh,
is
jeez.
problematic, and there's a problem with the abuse, and that could be grounds for divorce.
I know, but they shouldn't be
but
going to
the fact is that rape is
minutia
a form
of like
abuse. The
if
form
it's
of
wrong
abuse
or not.
specifically that
Vigi should be
neither religion
pointing out that both of them. Okay, wait. Now he's doing that.
considers
Now he's doing that.
as abuse in
Look, even Horse has
the
his head in his
doctrinal
hands
text.
right now. I wonder if Horse is thinking the
That's
same thing.
because
So
of
let
the
me-
fa-
let me
because
ask
of the
a
fact
question.
that the sexual access
Let me
from
ask
the
a
woman
question.
Testy is a
by
very
men
funny
You're
chatter.
really not
considered a
Okay,
right.
understanding.
okay, he just
Yeah, you're
is.
really not understanding this very simple thing, okay? If you go on and abuse your wife, okay, the abuse part in what you're doing with her would be problematic, and you can get a divorce out of that. It's just not called the same thing because we don't see the part of
I like that
the
Emma
sex to
says
be a problem.
divorce.
Do you understand that?
Divorce. Emma's such a
that clear
Latin
for you?
X.
Or no?
Yes, I understand that you.
Why are you? Yeah,
might
why are you
consider
like
abuse
hinging
as
so much
a,
on this, Mel? Like, Tessie just
valid
made a
reason for
casual
divorce.
throwaway joke.
So if a
And
person
you're, like,
goes
so
on and
big
imposes
mad about
themselves
this.
violently over another, and that
Okay, I got
is
lock in. I
considered
got
to
lock in.
be
Y'all distracting me.
100%, okay, abuse.
You realize that rape doesn't have to be violent, right? It can be coercive as well.
How do you
We're
know
spending so much time. How do you know that? What a fucking crazy answer. Holy shit, the aristocrats. Holy
Because
shit.
part of the way that we define
I hate
rape
all of this, but
is
I
based
love
on
all of this at the same
coercion?
time because I'm so fucking toxic.
Yeah, how would you know that? Let's say that something happens, okay, and then you are gonna be the priest in this case, okay, and you're gonna try to figure out what exactly is going on. Person comes in and says, "Oh, he coerced me into doing some kind of action." How would you know if it's actually coercion or this is just a lying person?
Yeah, so
Fair
there's
question.
a couple different
Completely
ways
side
as
quest,
to
but that's
how
fine.
you
Whatever.
can,
This prompt should be about marital fucking rape
figure out
and
whether or
nothing
not there's
fucking.
coercion. One of the ways
'Cause
that you
then it would
figure out
make a
whether
lot
or
more
not there's
sense.
coercion is by the quid pro quo standard. Quid pro quo is
Like, should I be
type of
judging how
coercion.
good they debate each
So
other
that
on
would be
marital
where,
rape? Should I be judging
say-
that?
Yeah,
Because that's not the
you know
fucking
what quid pro
prompt.
quo is, so go ahead.
Perfect. Let's say that
Should I
the
be
priest is
judging
going to do
on,
exactly
like,
the
if
same
they're
thing
doing
as
a
you,
good
then we'll
job of
decide whether or not it's
talking
abuse.
about if a priest
Now,
can determine
is
if
that
marital
possible
rape is a
in the
thing?
Muslim
Great.
system?
Okay, good. Let's tie it back there.
I would have to double check. I don't know if I think there are divorce standards in Islam, but I'm not 100% sure. Give me one second.
None of them did any fucking prep for
Well, we're
this.
talking about
What the fuck?
we're talking about marital rape. Remember the marital rape?
Unless Emmett
Is
knows
that
the
possible
answer.
in the Muslim system when it comes to marital rape.
Is it? I don't know. Maybe Emmett does
Let's
know this.
see.
Wait, you're not allowed to use AI, I thought.
I
thought you're not supposed to look stuff up.
If it's
Or maybe it's just AI.
obligations. Yeah. So, I mean, it is possible in the Muslim system as well. Actually, the Muslims appear to be more lenient towards the wife whenever it comes to actually being able to get a divorce than
Okay,
Christians,
that's
your version of
crazy.
Christianity.
That is
Really?
crazy. That is crazy. Again, this is
The why?
well. Actually, this is kind of relevant.
You go to a Muslim, they go on and they just go on ahead, and those don't even
Oh,
allow
now
them
I
to
don't
wear
know. Now I'm
their
like
hair out
6'5"
on the
for
street.
Emmett.
If they see them,
Oh,
they
I
will
just
beat
wish
them
I
the
could get
fuck up, so
5'5".
they get in line. Are you gonna tell me that those guys have a better system when it comes to abuse of women that the Christians do?
Yeah. So you are aware
Oh.
that the whole head covering thing is also in the Bible, right? And it's
No,
something
it's-
that was
No, in the
practiced
church.
for
No, it's
very-
only in the
in the
church. It's only in the
For
church,
modesty,
Veggie.
right?
It's only in the church. It's
Yeah,
not
it's a
in
modesty
everyday
thing.
life.
It's
Do you
also
remember? Do you
something-
remember
It's
the
only in
last
the
time?
church.
You remember the last time in the Roman
No.
Empire that there were a bunch of people
God.
enforcing that women had their heads covered, and they were just, smacking them left or right. And I made it the
God,
fuck
I'm like
up
losing my
history lesson
mind
because it
here.
never
I'm
fucking
losing my
happened.
mind.
It's not a standard that's enforced anymore by the Christians, but it is a standard that is an underlying
In the
doctrinal
church?
thing.
Yeah, in the church
That it,
for modesty,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
remember
it's a
the last
modesty
time we
thing.
were
It is
enforcing it
also
on
a
the
Why?
modesty-
Why? I don't know why Mel is so. Why Mel got so pissed off at Testy.
probably
What
what you're talking
happened? I
about,
don't
yeah.
understand what
Probably.
made you
It probably
so
hasn't
angry,
actually.
Mel.
I don't think it's from what I can find.
Probably no. So yeah, I'm glad we agree that we don't even enforce the same thing. So probably not that similar.
Oh,
huh?
Testy coming out, man. This is the real debate that's happening
The
over here.
underlying
Okay.
morals are absolutely similar.
Oh God, Horse
All
is
right, so
calling it.
we're-
Fuck
we're-
me. Fuck
we're
me.
at time.
Actually, fuck me.
Great discussion,
okay?
gentlemen.
Not in
I
a
appreciate
gay way,
that.
but
3 minutes is going on the clock. We're going to roll straight into our closing arguments. Vigi, you're going to go first. 3 minutes will start when you start to talk.
Yeah. So to get into some more of the doctrinal similarities,
this is
that I
actual
was-
cancer.
that
This
we
is
weren't really
actual.
able to
I mean,
get
I
into
love
during
it,
the
but it's
debate.
actual cancer.
Both Islam and Christianity see women as equal yet subservient to men. Women are supposed to be a submissive partner to
Do I
complement men,
decide on
and
just who
both
has a better
religions.
closing? Because right now
Uh,
it's like so fucked.
They
So
also both have a standard for which how that forced marriage is not to be permitted in both. They have because consent matters in both religions. They have a similar
Aisha consenting
standard
at
when
the
it comes
tender
to
age of
contraception.
6.
The where it is actually a split consensus on whether or not they should allow it, because it's not mentioned in the doctrine. So how they enforce things that are not actually mentioned in the doctrine is even a split decision on what they should actually enforce. And then when we talk about how these things work in practice, when the Orthodox Church or the Muslims get into power, we can look at Russia and their sacralized claim to political authority versus the jihadist model and
What's
how the
happening here? I don't
jihadis
know what's happening
actually
now here. I honestly don't
enforce
know.
things whenever they run an Islamic country. We can look at the territorial theology theory from the Russians, the chronological.
Everything Bitchy's saying in his closing
territory
should have been said in his fucking opening, and
we
they
can
should have
look at
fucking talked
the
about this.
morality enforcement,
Holy
and
shit.
internal purification, where anybody that steps out of line in both is immediately fucking exiled from either system. And then how violence is reframed as sacred obligation in
His
both
closing
systems.
should be his opening.
fact
His
is,
closing should be
when
his fucking
both
opening.
systems
And then they
take
could have
power,
talked about this.
they look
What the fuck?
nearly
What the actual
identical.
fuck?
The fact is, whenever we look at it, the system that the code of ethics comes from in both is Jewish law, and Jewish law is the same no matter how much you want to say that it's not. It's
You should have talked about
The-
some more.
the
You
code
should
of
have talked
ethics
about all
in
these
Islam
things more
and
in the
Christianity
open. Why are you just
come
mentioning
from
this in the
Judaism,
closing,
because
Bitchy?
Judaism
Why?
the underlying doctrine of where both religions come from.
This is so
We worship the
frustrating.
same God.
So
There's
fun.
a reason everybody
but so
else
frustrating.
considers them as the Abrahamic trio of religions.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and kick this straight over to you now, Emmett.
Just see
3 minutes
gesture
uninterrupted
maxing.
is on the clock. I'll start it up when you're ready.
Well, just as good is subjective in accordance to vigilante, this debate has been very subjective in accordance to me, and thus I win because it's in accordance to me.
Okay, that's fun. I mean,
don't-
that's
I don't even
funny.
know where
That's
to start.
funny.
Like,
I'll
the end
allow
was
it.
like,
I'll allow it.
it's just we're gonna go backwards. This is funny.
They are going
the end was,
backwards.
most people agree that they are from Judaism. Thus, they're from Judaism.
They should have talked about all of that
thanks for the
shit
fallacy.
the whole time.
Um,
This would have been like a
I-
good discussion instead
If
of
you
like
wanted to
after time to
Jaceberg, I
go
don't
up and barrel
understand why you even
fucking
accept this
great.
debate. To be honest,
How's that Jaceberging,
I'm
Emmett?
not
How's that
entirely sure of
Jaceberging?
why.
How's that? That's
We
I don't
obviously
know.
don't follow
How's
the
that-
same God. The idea of the same God is not the same. The Trinity is not the same.
Maybe you
The
guys should have talked
doctrines
about
are
that.
not the
Maybe
same. He
both
says,
of you
if
should have fucking talked
do
about
something
that.
is
If you think
against
about
the
it.
religion, you're gonna get thrown out. With the way that we look, even at the church is a hospital, that means that you're sick. You already have done something that is against God. You're here to be healed. The idea of being able to actually get away from sin and get in communion with God is something that the Muslims have nothing to do with. So not even in his doctrine system.
Is there a history between you two?
Different doctrines. We have
Are you like
different
are you like
ideas of
the
what
pay
good
pig
is.
to
We have
testy or
different
like what's
ideas of how we
good?
follow the idea of good, how we follow the ethical system. Okay, we literally said, well, they have literal ethical systems. Where? What is
I know
the
you're fucking
underlying
lying to
system
me.
that is the same? He can point
Yeah,
out
I
to
know.
surface level.
You
stuff
scared me
which
for a
he
split
shares similarities
second.
in.
So you
Oh,
got
we
me,
have
I guess.
similarities in the surface.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
this
well,
whole
we're talking
time just
about
no
the
one said
system, so
anything
we're
and I'm just like
talking about the ethics,
unmuted
where
the whole
the
time? We're just like
morals
putting
are
up with
grounded
me.
on. What
Just
is the
giving
similar
my
thing?
play-by-play
I still
feedback.
don't know, except for the fact that it's whatever he likes to say that is the same. It's my preference, in other words.
How dare
And
you?
it
I've
ended
gotten
up
like
being about
$2.
preference,
How dare you
which
plug
is
your
kinda
freaking
funny,
cash app?
because
Are
I
you
knew
freaking
we're
kidding
gonna
me?
end up there. We're gonna end up in, oh, well,
As a
I
mod,
don't
you should
like
be
them
supporting
because
the
I don't prefer
Confluence
them.
channel, okay?
Yeah, I'm a little bit baffled, not in the sense of I wasn't expecting this. It's just kind of incredulous at the idea that he would mention things that are obviously not
I heard
correct
Pig's
when he
just
had time
saying.
to prepare for them.
That's fair.
Right?
That's valid.
Quite literally, in the same thing he sent us is like, oh, here it says that you cannot do your cousin. They do. How do we know? We know because of their own census data, of their own ways that they do it. Daniel Pikachu, if you don't know who that is a stupid Pokemon. he literally said in one of his debates that he would go on and agree to marry his son to a cousin. Okay, so I don't know. With this, I thank you, and I feel that I won, so I won.
Well, as long as you feel that way, then we can't take it away from you, buddy. All right. So great debate, gentlemen. And you know what? I would like to say you both kept it above the belt, and I appreciate the hell out of that. So with that said, we're going to go over to the judges.
I actually don't even know.
And we're going to go through the question
don't
section.
even know.
We'll start out with you, Vigi. Okay. So, and this is going to be sort of a test of a sort to see how much you know, just out of curiosity, what your prep for this looked like. You mentioned that Sharia law.
No one prepped for any of this. I'm just going to be honest. None of them prepped for any of this. No one even talked about Sharia law really at all.
What caused Sharia law or Islam to break away from the original Abrahamic texts?
So it's not as simple as that. So the way that it kind of works is similar to how Christians view the Apostle Paul. Muhammad is seen as a messenger from God, and it's more seen that he was meant to kind of bridge the gap between the the Mosaic law and the doctrine from Christ.
Okay. And who went first last time? Let's Chief did, right? Confluence, do you have a question ready for Vigi?
I do. And I might be flustered through a lot of this judging, just fair warning for everyone. Vigi, my question to you, I don't understand something, and I really need to understand it, and maybe I'm just missing it. So it sounds like when superficial examples are brought up, then you're like, well, I'm not talking about the superficial thing, but then when Emmett was talking to you about the structural differences, you're like, I don't want to talk about that either. So for a lot of the beginning of this, I guess then what do you mean if by moral character? If you're not talking about the orthopraxis of it, and you're also not talking about the structural similarities or differences, then what I guess do you mean by they share a moral character? I don't know the answer to that, so please tell me.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about whenever I'm talking about the moral character is the actual how do I explain this? So the things that they see as bad, right? So things like abortion, things like homosexuality, things like things, and then things that they see as neutral, like marital rape. The things that they morally see or hold morally as have a similar standard on, if that makes sense.
It does. If I can just ask a follow up, does that aren't those praxis issues then? Like in the beginning, you're saying you're not talking about like the boots on the ground similarities, but I would say like, aren't those kind of like that they both end up at the conclusion that like you shouldn't abort or something like you? It sounds like you didn't want to go into the structural similarities or differences, but now when you're giving me the answer, it sounds like you're just talking about kind of the boots on the ground. Hey, they both are against, abortion, or both against homosexuality. But isn't that what your opening said you weren't going to do? Or like, what am I getting confused on here?
I'm more talking about like the doctrinal similarities, the where the doctrine talks about these things, not necessarily obviously I did use examples of like what happens when like with Russia and versus like jihadism, but that's just to show how the extremes, even the extremes, are similar. But the whole point is showing that doctrinally the two are very similar, if not in some ways the same.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Let's Chief, you're up, sir. Question for Vigi, please.
Yeah, I hope this question doesn't sound like too basic, but if we could say that rules X, Y, Z that are shared among these two traditions are why they share a similar moral character, then why wouldn't in the same way listing differences in rules A, B, and C mean that they're dissimilar? Like, what is the ratio of similarity to dissimilarness that you're kind of like banking this on?
Yeah, so I mean, I would agree with Emmett that they have a lot of structural dissimilarities. Morally speaking and doctrinally speaking, they're going to have more similarities than not because of the fact that the underlying moral system is the Jewish Mosaic law. Therefore, the morals of both systems are going to be identical to Mosaic Jewish law, and they are going to be doctrinally similar.
All right, now it's Emmett's questions. Remember, chat, if y'all have any questions you want to throw in the tip jar, please go ahead. We will get those in after ours are done. Emmett.
Yes.
So we all know, I assume you agree, that both Christianity and Islam were derived from the original Jewish texts, the Abrahamic texts. Do
True.
you believe if both of those
kind of true.
Well, kind of true, sure. If both of those ideologies are derived from the same original ideology, why would it not be safe to assume that they at least are similar? If not, I mean, obviously they're not identical, but why would the structural core of them be not similar in your eyes?
The structural core of Christianity comes from a point of humility and understanding of the nature and the energy of God, so you can have so that you can have communion, while the idea from Islam comes from a conquering point. So it's one is terrenal and follows the idea towards the lenses of conquering and an imposition. They follow a pragmatic law, not necessarily pragmatic. They follow an idea of law. So they try to impose law and like rights and this kind of stuff. While the Orthodox is not doing that, they're trying to impose the moral character of God through the communion. So they follow complete different structures, and they try to create the ethical framework and the moral system in a complete different way.
Okay, thank you. Confluence question for Emmett, please.
And my
Confluence, if you ask about marital grape, I am going to murder you.
I am
in
not
a video game. Like
as long as you don't marital grape me, that's fine. Okay, no, I'm not going to ask about that. But what I will ask you about is there's a lot of times you brought this up about that Vigi is just talking about his preferences. Oh, my preferences, all this type of stuff, right? But I guess I would say, like, does Vigi need to know the good if he's just saying that they have a similar model? I guess that's what I'm curious on. Does it really matter to you if Vigi has like some like actual good understanding of meta ethics and whatever? If he's just saying, no, the moral character of these things are the same, I don't need to know. I don't need to have a robust meta ethic to say these things are the same. Why did you keep hearkening back to, well, he doesn't know what the good is, he doesn't know what's correct or what's true, he doesn't have a strong foundation? What does that matter if we're just talking that they have a similar moral character?
Yeah, so not long ago I was asked a question about a word I didn't understand at the time. It was something like, do I have a graph in my hand? The person wanted to say giraffe, but I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. So I couldn't tell if he had a giraffe or not in his hand because I had no frame of reference as to what was the question he was asking. If you're gonna say these people have something that, something similar, I need to know what are you actually referencing so I can understand whether or not said thing is actually similar. In this case, when I say it's just his preferences, at that point, and he agreed with it, it was just a preference debate. It's my preference versus his preference. I don't even know what the hell he means by good, right? I don't have a way to actually understand what the good is, other than think he might like or not, and I don't know him enough to know what the fuck he likes.
Okay, if I can I do a quick follow up?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just because I did a
We're
follow up to
we're
Vigi.
going to call you 2-question confluence. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. There's always a follow up. I guess like I'm curious why. Maybe I'm just asking the same question twice. I don't really think so, but like why is it not possible, I guess, that even if he has no foundation, that you could just look at two systems and think that they are similar or dissimilar? Do you need a foundation to still look at two things and say, well, they're pretty close, and I don't know what the correct thing is. I have no knowledge. Let's say Vigi fully said that. I have no ethical framework at all, but I'm looking at these two things and their ethical framework or their ethical foundation seems to be similar. Why is that a problem, I guess, is my follow-up.
Yes. So normally I would grant, and I kind of did grant the idea that he is basing it in some kind of consequentialism. The problem is still the same. I'm not going to grant the ethical system in and of itself because he says it has it. I kind of the question in this debate becomes, and I need to know what you mean by the good. Otherwise, once again it becomes a preference based. I agree that it was a preference based. We moved on with the idea that it was just preference based. So if that is the case, I'm not going to grant you the ethical framework just because you say words that mean good, right? It's like good is something that is good. Okay, well, what is that? How do you get to that idea? What is the epistemology? I need to know how you ground that so that I can actually engage with it. And if you just mean my preference, then I'm going to take that as the thing you're meaning.
Thank you.
Let's Chief. You're up next, sir. A question for Emmett, please.
Sure thing. If you set aside the legal mechanics and how it operates within the government, would you say that both traditions
I would love to
would
have a
share a common moral character by prioritizing like a submission to God's will and building cohesion among family and community?
It seems it seems to point towards the same thing. The
That's a good
problem is
question.
that if you look at the
That's a good question.
epistemology, which is what I was trying to figure out, they actually follow two different complete ideas, right? So I really need to know what you mean by the good, because we're not following the same idea of good. That is the point that I was trying to explain during this whole thing. Even though and this is what I said, it's like word concept fallacy. Even though we're saying good, we don't mean the same thing. So yes, you can have surface level things that are similar. Oh, you have to submit to a deity, but the question becomes what deity, and the submission as well is important. How is it exactly doing the submission, and what and kind of things end up in two different systems, because Islam ends up in
I can't tell
legalistic
if
system.
my internet's bad or if
is,
Emmett's
infused
roboting.
with governance in imposition directly of the law, while the church, when it comes to its orthodoxy, works in symphony with the government, but they follow completely different ideas. They end up.
Fuck, I think my internet's fucked.
So in the surface, they look the same. They can look similar, but the actual thing, the framework, and what they're doing is, what the good is very different.
Right. I robot there for us, but just
Sorry, you're
it's you too. Let me see. Tyler, you look really clear to me. Are you hearing me okay?
You look really clear to me too.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Okay, I thought
think
I was
Emmett and
roboting.
Horseradish, we're going robot-y. Let's hopefully it'll settle down in a second.
Digi wins by default. Let's go.
Oh, Horseradish is back. You're looking clear again.
Okay, I thought that was my issue. I was like, oh my god, I'm fucked. How am I supposed to?
Yeah. Again, yeah.
Are we back?
Everybody can hear everybody.
Yeah,
again.
that was a Discord thing. I have Discord up on my other monitor. I the bar flicked in and out. That was
Yeah,
a
it was
server
Discord.
thing.
Yep. And that, even when I pay for the shit and fucking boost the server, it still wants to shit the bed. So yay, Discord. All right.
Can I listen to Let's Chief again? Because I didn't actually listen to his response, so I would like to know what he said.
Oh no, I didn't have a response to you. I was just talking about the robo bullshit. You're all good. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we couldn't hear like anything that you said after you started roboting. So it might be a good idea to let him repeat that.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm perfectly all right with that. You know what? Because yeah, I had troubles understanding it as well. Let's, Chief, would you, if you still have that question, ask the question one more
I
time.
sure
We'll give it
do.
back.
So it was setting the legal mechanics aside. Don't both traditions share like a common moral character by prioritizing submitting to God's will and cohesion among family and
I
community?
feel like we all heard.
Okay, so I'm gonna try
The
to
vast
say
majority
this
of
real
this, but
quickly
that's
so we
fine.
don't lose more time. It's very simple. On surface level, they may seem to be kind of similar, but if you look at the actual how they come to the conclusions, the kind of epistemology, and even the societies they create, they actually are very dissimilar. They're very different. So if you just look at the things they say per se, they might seem similar in certain actions, but in reality they are very different.
Very cool. Yeah, Robo Ortho Bro is probably going to be the winning chat of the night. All right. So one more time, chatters. I didn't get any questions from you guys. So obviously you think the judges and I are getting all the questions out there, and that's perfectly fine.
We
Just
are.
Don't be mad
We
at us.
absolutely
If you didn't get to hear the
fucking
answer you were looking
are.
for. I'm going to drop the link in chat. That is the time to vote. So please click that link again. It
Yes,
costs
I
you
think I
absolutely
sent
nothing.
it. I will send it
And
again.
It just tells us where you
Everyone
think this
vote.
debate
Get your
landed.
votes in.
Do
Also,
you
get your
believe
super chats in if you
that
think I'm like
Vigilante TV
a
on the
super good
affirmative
judge and stuff.
made the
Okay,
more
just
compelling
saying.
case,
Okay.
or do you believe that Emmett on the negative made the more compelling case? Again, we are looking to see who you think had the best rhetoric, who made the best debate, who made the best arguments, not just who you agreed with or who you liked the most. Now, I'm also going to, I sent you the link already, Confluence. Did you get that?
Yep. I'm muted, but I'm
Yes,
saying yes.
okay, and I'm going to drop the
Gonna
link
keep nodding.
in my Kick and in my YouTube. There we go. Anybody viewing over there, go ahead and click that link, and we will go to our judges. So let's see who went first last time. I think it was Confluence went last time. So this
Yeah.
time, Chief, are you ready to go this time?
Yeah, this one's going to be a little quick and dirty.
All
as I
right, let's
like to
get dirty,
do.
buddy.
All right.
Fucking does.
So
Fucking
I was in the same
pervert.
boat as Confluence, where like I don't know, like Vigi, you had me fucked up a little bit because one of the first notes that I had written during your intro was about the shared fundamentals, and that being the structure plus the values, not policy. But then immediately in the cross, you said that it's not about structure but moral character. So like really the whole foundation of your argument, like right off the top, seemed to be like contradicting itself. And I think it was really just like like maybe it was like a misspeak or like fumbled rhetoric, but it's like the two ideas, like the two messages you were sending just like didn't like match. Otherwise, like I thought it was strong to say that having the Judeo-Christian like ethics as the foundation, like that being equal, like made perfect sense. Pointing out some of the the doctrinal similarities and specific examples of that like coming into like practice. I felt like that was all like a good strong way to build your argument. That said, I feel like Emmett did a good job kind of poking holes early, that the use of telos was just kind of like superficial, but not to like get into it. And then being able to expose that, the structural flaw about the argument of structure being like wishy-washy. I feel like the same debate, if you all had it again, could have went a different way. But for me, I'm scoring it 3-7 for the negative.
All right. So let's Chief with a vote for Emmett. Confluence, you're up, sir. Where did you land on this and why?
All right. First, I want to say that you guys made me spurg so hard. On one hand, I love this. The dopamine, I was levitating. I loved all this. On the other hand, I fucking hated all of this. I absolutely hated all of this. I guess my first thing is I think both of you your closing should have been your fucking opening, because like both of you brought up stuff in the closing that I'm like, that's more to the prompt. And then you could have talked about all of that. But instead we went on side quest after side quest. We spent like half the time on marital grape and like what that exactly means. And I don't very loosely, I think, tied to the actual prompt, because we were so in the weeds on like what exactly that means. And again, from an enjoyment point of view, 10 out of 10. From following the prompt, I'm not so sure. So to start back at the beginning, I guess, yeah, Vigi's affirmative. I mean, I share the thing that Let's Chief said, right? That's why I asked Vigi that question. The structural similarity, and he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the superficial distinctions. He did clarify. I don't know if his clarification in my question was robust enough, and so I just was a bit. I'm still a bit confused on that. Emmett, I didn't like his open or his cross super much about the ethics thing. I mean, that's also why I asked him the question on that. I understand what he's saying, of course. I don't know if that's like super relevant to have a robust meta ethic theory to say something is similar, but I understand where Emmett's coming from. Then we got into like the IQ stuff. Again, this is like side quest after side quest, which was fun, but just like not super relevant. Emmett's opening, I think he made a strong point about kind of my critique about if Vigi doesn't care about the structure, he doesn't care about the ostensibly superficial moral orthopraxis, then what are we talking about? In the cross, then we got into the weird thing about the cousin fucking and all the incest stuff, and Vigi ended up being wrong on that. But I don't know if that really matters, because that really has almost nothing to do, again, with the prompt, but Vigi was wrong about that. And yeah, the Quran doesn't say anything about not fucking your cousin. But again, I don't think that really fucking matters. And then we move into the open talk. We're talking about what's the true Christianity. We're talking about what the foundations of morality are. We did, again, the whole side quest about the marital grape. And, all of that is fine and entertaining, but, not super related, in my opinion, at least, to the prompt. And in the closing, both of you had great closings. And that's why I wish we could redo this fucking debate where your closings are your fucking openings. Because both of you, like Vigi, you especially, you brought up so much in the closing that I'm like, why didn't you make this your opening? Yeah, like talk about all these similarities. You give like so many new things that you presented in your closing that weren't talked about at all. And I'm just like, yeah, you should have like talked about that in the open dialogue. But then Emmett kind of did the same thing. So honestly, this was like, to me, this was like as close to a 5-5 as you can be, because I'm both at once incredibly entertained, but at the same time, don't think either of you did a super good job at talking about the actual prompt. But ultimately, I don't know if this is correct, but it's my judgment. Okay, so, get wrecked, I suppose. I think because Vigi, you were at the affirmative, I think the burden was on you to kind of make a more robust case. That's the only reason that I'm giving a 4-6, 4 to Vigi, 6 to Emmett, is that Vigi, you were the affirmative. I think you should have presented a stronger case. Otherwise, I would give this a 5-5, but that is my verdict. And it is final.
I appreciate you not giving us a 5-5. I do allow them, but I always kind of give you the mean look when you do it. So great job. And I appreciate the analysis there, man. Audience, chatters, viewers, I love you. Unfortunately, it means that the debate's already decided. It looks like the win is going to Emmett for this, according to the two judges. Not because they agreed, but because they felt he made a better case. And we're still going to look and see where y'all voted, though, because we do keep track of score here, and it's relevant to us whether it is a split decision or a unanimous decision. So I'm going to give you guys just one more second here. There's the link again in the chat. Click the link, give us your vote, tell us where you landed, because we keep rankings, we keep standings. So debaters, absolutely great job to both of y'all, regardless of the outcome of the audience vote. The judges think this one went to you there, Emmett. So congratulations on that. And let's go ahead and pull up the results for our second debate of the night.
Yeah, I'm curious what the audience thinks about this, because I thought it was so fucking close.
Good vote turnout. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. I like it when I get to see a lot of votes in there. All right. Well, it's fucking unanimous. 6-4, according to the audience, in favor of Emmett. Emmett with a 3-0 blowout. Great job, buddy.
Wait, what was the vote? What was the vote? Wait, what was the vote? Horace, tell us what the vote was.
I'm so glad that both of you guys are here. Emmett, I think this is the first time that you've actually been voted for by the audience. So
what was the audience vote? Someone tell me, what was the audience vote? Why isn't he telling us?
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. It sounds like Sounds like Discord is starting to shit the bed again. So before that happens, I'm going to say
No, what
thank
was
you
the
to both of
audience
y'all
vote?
again.
No,
Great job.
I need to know. I have to know.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys both again here.
It was
in the future,
6-4.
and thank you for both keeping it respectful. So
The audience
please
would
stick
never.
around. I know
The audience
Emmett,
would
sometimes you got to
never.
go. If you got to go, that's fine. But I would definitely like to see you in the after party. I intentionally
Oh, now it's
scheduled all three of these
Tyler's
prompts on the same
turn.
night because
Oh,
all of
let's
the
fucking
debaters are gonna have
go.
something to say about
Oh, you
all of the
DM'd me?
prompts,
Thank you,
and I'm
Testy.
looking
Wait, is
forward to hearing
Mel
all of y'all's
correct or
stories.
wrong? Is it
But
6-4?
until then, let's go ahead and get to our last debate.
Oh, no, it's not
of the night.
6-4.
So,
16-12. Oh,
this
thank
one
you, Testy.
actually, I have found out,
16-12 in
has a
favor of
little bit
Emmett.
history to it. So
That's a good voter
this
turnout.
debate
28
is
people.
one that was actually proposed by one of the two debaters. And
Okay,
whenever
wait. I
put it
gotta
out,
take
I
my
was
time to
looking
do
for
a
one
hot
specific
piss.
fish
I gotta
to
fucking
bite
do a
on the
hot
hook.
piss before
And
they start.
lo and behold, he did. So tonight's final debate of the night. Apparently, the two of them have sort of sword fought about this in the past, so they at least know each other's arguments. There are going to be some cited references that I'm going to be able to bring up here during this debate, but the abolition of Israel is moral and just is our prompt. Before we actually get into it, I'm going to give both of these debaters the chance to introduce themselves to you. Kate, this is your first time here. My understanding is apparently you're royalty here in Twitch Poll. Sorry, I've never had the chance to make your acquaintance, but if you would, please tell the folks who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you. I don't have any socials to give them, but if you do, drop them in the chat for us.
Is my mic okay? I'm always told it's too low.
You sound great.
Okay, cool. Hello, I'm apparently royalty. I haven't existed in a very long time, so I guess that's like how modern royalty, you know, when they exist but you don't really see them and they don't matter. So I guess that's fair. I don't have any socials. I don't stream anymore. I deleted my YouTube channel. This is just I was bored one night, and every once in a while, you know, I like jumping on a panel when I'm bored. And so, but I got to learn a lot from the prep, so this has already enriched me. So that's all that matters. Was I supposed to say anything else?
No, that was good enough. Just who you are and what you're about. It sounds like you pretty much hit those. Well, once again, welcome into. To
also,
the DMZ. Oh yes,
we did not debate this topic. We know each other from other panels, and yes, we've clashed about Zionism, but I do not know the arguments. Actually,
even
your
better
mods can testify, because I was like, "Do you know what Tyler's arguments are?" I'm trying to prep. I don't know if that's cheating.
Yeah, no, you know, some people do their research that way. Some people don't. It's up to you. It doesn't bother me.
Katie doing
either way.
Oppo research. That's crazy.
Fighters watch fight tapes, right? So if you can get a hand on any free information, get it. All right, and now up to you, Tyler. I will drop your.
Hopefully, she checked out the Confluence chat, because that's where Tyler says all of his Israel takes. If you think
First of all, let me curtsy for your grace.
You
average
may-
debate
you may-
enjoyer. Oh, sorry.
Yes, rise.
Average debate enjoyer. I'm just here for the love of the game. I don't even promote my channel. It's out there. Check it out if you want. If you don't, I don't give a shit. Whatever. We're here for a good time, not a long time. I just like talking politics, and I came on the internet because I just don't want to annoy my family and friends anymore. So I'm more than happy that anybody out there took a debate on Israel. The prompt isn't something I've ever really argued before. I'm not really a big morality guy. I like to do practical politics. I'm happy. I appreciate my debate partner for being here, and let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go indeed. Tyler, did you get a brand new camera? Because you're looking particularly fine tonight. Like your camera is looking really nice.
The echo is gone as well that you can hear. I did some work on my setup. Yeah.
Welcome to the party. I'm very impressed.
Quick question.
Absolutely.
You know the thing that we use to have our cameras? I can only see myself. Can we only see ourselves on that, or do I just not know how to see the camera people?
Look in the Discord.
He doesn't know how Ninja works.
Anybody who can tries to put their camera into Discord as well, so that way you can kind of see the people's face. Plus, if you'll be able to see the clock above my head. Unfortunately, that thing that we use for the
I'm in a new apartment.
Sometimes
Mel, okay, I understand. I haven't figured this shit out. I had it better in my old place.
I tell everybody also mute it. So make sure you mute it. Don't use that for your video. Just watch the Discord channel. You should be able to see everything. Is that
Is it okay if I stare at myself the entire time because I need to make sure my hair is okay? I don't need to look at Tyler
absolutely? No, yeah.
Wait, I
no,
can't
talk
see
to the
this
mirror.
girl. Should I?
I'm just making sure.
Oh, I'm seeing
Every
her
streamer
now.
does.
Okay.
We don't know what you're looking at. All right. So you have seen how this goes. This is your first time here, Kate, but I do believe that you understand the assignment. So without further ado, 3 minutes is going to go on the clock for an uninterrupted opening.
Oh,
Did you want me to bring up any of your links?
Stealing?
yes,
Is that actually a good thing to
please.
get?
One
Because I'll
link
get
I
that
sent
if
you
that's a good
is
thing to
just like,
get.
I'm sorry, Tyler.
I just
made,
got a
like,
ring light
little
and an aquarium
thing
light.
that a list bullet points that we can all have, so we can
Right,
all
time to
be on the
fucking
same page.
lock
So
the
yeah, I would
fuck
just
in.
bring that up, and then just be on the first page because that's going to be my opening, and I'll tell you if I need you to move it around.
Okay, and you know what? Actually, it looks like, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send that as well to Tyler, if that is all right with you, just so that he can follow along if he wishes
Oh,
to.
I gotta change
And I
my
will be able to
fucking
bring that up
prompt.
onto the stream.
My
Give me
little
one
banner.
second. Let me just look for. There you are, and there you are.
I'll send you mine too.
All right. Cheers. And give me one split second. Sorry,
Israel
everybody.
Power Doc. Okay.
Boom. Control V and enter.
It's because I
There we
use it
go.
for multiple. It's a lot. It's like multiple debates compiled into one document. So it's like
All
I
right,
can
just-
pull from it.
Well, then I don't know
Just
what
to
you're.
let you know,
so
Kate,
not a spotlight. So
unfortunately,
I
the
don't.
screen
You can't
where
make
we
jokes
bring
because
this
I
up,
don't fucking know
you
shit
will
about shit when it
unfortunately
comes
be
to
doing
lighting.
your
Okay.
Opening with Tyler's face on the screen.
Again, right now,
Forgive me for
currently,
that.
I have a
can't
ring
resist
light and an
our setup,
aquarium
so
light. Okay.
I know.
This is how you treat royalty? This
All
is
right.
the. I would have never stepped in this filth if I had known.
God,
I
Katie
understand,
reminds me of
and I hope that you will
someone
forgive us. All right, Your Highness.
like
3
some like
minutes is on the clock.
Destiny
We'll start
Orbiter
the
or
clock.
something.
You
I
start
don't
to
know who
talk.
it
Please
is,
give
but
us
there's
your-
like some similarity
Yeah,
here.
so I think there's an obvious flaw in
Unless
the
I've
prompt,
heard it
even though
before
I
and
was
she
the one
isn't
that gave the
Destiny
prompt,
Orbiter,
right?
but that'd be
And the question
crazy.
is, we're going to discuss morality, right? And so when we say morality, we're like, well, by what standards? Who's deciding this? And so I would like to say that the arguments that I prepared are for people who support and believe in democratic values. Now, it can be whatever type of, I would say that however you define democracy as a lay Western person, the way that you understand it, that would be enough. You can think of a liberal democracy or an inclusive democracy or whatever you want to call it.
Swear I've heard this
generally,
person
as a lay
talk
Western
before. I
person,
swear I
whatever the vibe
have.
that you get when you think democracy,
I don't
I
know
would
fucking
think that's good
where.
enough. And you would have to judge my
So
arguments
familiar, it's
based
crazy.
on that value system, right? So moral under
Testy,
that
has she
framework that
talked to
you
Destiny? Has she
concur with
been
these values.
around that
It's not going to
community?
work otherwise.
It's so familiar
And
to me.
So my argument is as follows. The reason why I frame it as the abolition of Israel is very simple. Israel
Katie
has
was a Destiny
rules
Orbiter, the one who got
that
drunk a lot and
bind
talked about her
its
bullshit.
Jewish
Oh my god,
existence
maybe I do know this
with
person.
its foundation. And so,
Maybe I do
if one
know.
wants to change Israel from a Jewish and democratic state, which is in its constitutional fabric, as I will explain in a second,
Oh, who's that
or
other?
in the
I
elaboration
think
if we don't have
maybe
time,
I think I fucking know.
then one would have to, if one wants to change
Thank you, Alex,
that,
for the $10,
that
by the way.
necessitates the abolition of Israel, not by my standards, by Israel's
Okay,
legal
sorry,
standards.
sorry, guys.
Like
Sorry,
Israel
guys.
has verdicts saying
I'll shut
if
up.
one wanted to change this about Israel, they would be an actual threat, and like this is an existential question for Israel. And so very briefly, Israel doesn't have a constitution. Instead, it has something that's called basic laws that have constitutional power. And there are a number of basic laws. One of them enshrines the idea of Jewish and democratic state. This came in 1992. Before that, there was still an opportunity for reform because it wasn't bind in this manner. I can elaborate more on that later. And in the open part, I will just explain how there's another basic law that basically determines that there is no democratic process for people who believe in democratic values to change Israel from its democratic system because it bans anyone who's an existential threat under its own definition. And its own definition means that it has to be Jewish as well, which interferes with its democratic values. Is that 3 minutes? I didn't properly count the time.
Again, if you look above my head, you should be able to see the clock in Discord.
Okay,
but you got about 10 seconds left.
Yes. So I like walks on the beach. I like sleeping. And yeah, Good day.
All right. And also, just so you know, Kate, what we do is if you're run out of time, we're not like super hard about it. We'll let you finish your thought. We'll let you tie it up. Eventually, we will start to say, hey, kind of wrap it up, right? But we would rather you get your arguments out, and the judges will pay attention to the clock, but they'd only weigh it against you so much. All right,
Okay,
Tyler, 3
then
minutes.
can I
don't give a
ask
fuck
for,
about the
for
clock.
like 30 seconds?
Go ahead.
Tyler,
Crazy
you ready to
ask. Now I do care about the clock. Now I do. Just kidding.
debate partner.
Yes, he's
Absolutely.
saying
Sorry,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, the way that I would explain it is simple. If the American Constitution said capitalism is an enshrined value in our Constitution, there would be no legal way to change the capitalist nature of America. That is like, it would mean a constitutional change of like a major clause. If you understand what that means in an American politics perspective, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this foundational structure in Israel. Thank you.
Right.
I feel like this chick has talked to like Cherry before. Like I'm getting Cherry vibes in the
Now,
back
3 minutes is on the
catalogs of my
clock for
memory. I could be
cross-examination. Tyler,
entirely
you know what to do.
wrong.
I'll start it up when you start to talk.
All right,
All right.
honestly, went a completely different
Tyler
way than I
Cross.
thought you were going to go. I might have to do a little bit of a pivot, but not too much because we'll get that. So when you say democratic values, would you say having a country that elected the most pro-Israel president twice in a row and having a House and Senate where the vast majority of people vote to continue funding Israel in this war, that those are embracing democratic values of Israel's legitimacy?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You're talking about America, right? Because
just
okay. So
This
can you
is
repeat that,
America.
please?
when you're saying democratic values, so the United States, the number one backer of Israel, we have a House that voted 75% to continue funding Israel in the war. We have one of the most pro-Israel presidents since Israel's existence. Would you say those are democratic values from a Western nation that embraces democratic values, and those could maybe be used to counter your argument?
That's an easy yes. Katie, say
That's
yes.
a very good argument. I would argue that because there isn't a lot of support for these policies, it would be a criticism against the form of democracy that America is. If American democracy does not represent the opinions of its people, then there is a flaw with the democracy. But I would think the question would be, when you're asking layperson, do you think it's democratic that your opinions are not represented by your representative elect? Most people would say, no, that's not very democratic. They still live in a democracy technically, but I'm talking about people's understanding of, do you think this is a democracy? Does this embody democratic values?
I would say that they're pretty well represented just because we had an election recently and they elected the most pro-Israel president for a second time. But you say Israel, when you talk about Israel being the Jewish state, you're aware that it doesn't have a state religion. It's actually classified.
Obviously, most people aren't voting for Trump based on him being pro or anti-Israel.
All right.
Would you like me to explain then, or is it?
I'm just kind of. This is just cross to kind of set up my argument. So it's really just
then
a simple question.
Yes. So I wouldn't say that it's defined in a secular state. I find that to be a very interesting phrasing. Israel doesn't have a separation of quote unquote synagogue and state. So to call it a secular state would be incredibly silly. The religious authority controls many facets of Israel life that the government doesn't have control over, the most easiest one being marriage and divorce, right?
Can you think of a single right or privilege, though, that a non-Israeli or a non-Jewish Israeli doesn't have that a Jewish Israeli does have?
Let me think about it. Well, for example, let me think.
Okay, I definitely have heard
like
this
in
person.
Terms of a law,
I definitely have.
I would say
swear
that
I have.
there aren't any explicit laws, I guess, anymore. Well, no, you're right. So there are laws about merger of family. And so non-Jewish Israelis that have Palestinian relatives or marry Palestinians are not allowed to bring their family over. Now, this is not even...
Let me speak one more in. I'm sorry. I just got one more amount of time. Does any of your opener address the justice part of the prompt?
I don't. My point was that if you think democracy
I can't
is
help
just,
you, Mel. I don't know what the fuck
this
this means
work,
either.
right?
Okay.
I'm using it as a joint factor. I would like to just clarify on the point that you made, the question that you asked me about the law. Yes. So Arab Israeli
Umbreon.
citizens, Palestinian
Great
or
name.
otherwise, they're not
Great name.
allowed to have family mergers. Jews, for example, even if they marry a Christian, that Christian can then have some rights about bringing their family over to Israel and get citizenship. If you're Palestinian, that is denied of you, period. Not even as like a non-Jew, but like specifically Palestinians. So that would be something off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more.
So 3 minutes is now on the clock for you, Tyler, for your opening. I'll start the clock when you start to talk, sir.
All right, so there's two pillars here, morality and justice. Since we're both utilitarian, we could go with morality, but as Emmett puts it, we'd just be arguing preferences.
My
which I hate, but
preferences.
that's for a different argument. With something abstract we can't even prove, and we just kind of sat through that. It was pretty lame. So I want to go after the other pillar. I want to attack justice, because justice is a standard. We have a system of justice that we can measure. We can see justice being a blind woman that treats everybody the same. So luckily for me, about 2 months ago, we had a book come out by Roy K. Altman. He's a federal district judge that was a former U.S. attorney for 6 years. He wrote a 6-chapter book. It was called Israel on Trial, where he takes 6 major claims against Israel, one being apartheid, one being genocide, and he all the rest, all the things people say, and he runs them through the U.S. justice system to see if these things are just, if these claims are correct. And I'm not going to plagiarize the guy's arguments here. I'm just going to steal the major point of his argument. A lot of the things they say about Israel are taking a definition of the word and doing what Destiny calls intuition pumping, using a much more harsh version of classification to invoke emotions in people. I find that to be a little bit silly, but she didn't actually kind of go the way of justice. So I'm almost making a different app, but I'm doing it based off the prompt. So it's something it's a little dicey. It's risky of me. I could lose this debate because of this tactic, but you know what? We're here for a good time, not a long time. So I said, this sets the ground for the moral claim I'm making, that we're not actually looking at justice. We're looking at a political desire and the justice system being co-opted to make a political end. I see nothing wrong with a state that allows a Jewish safe space. Like every state, the majority is the hegemonious population of that state. That's like saying, a majority Arab state shouldn't exist because they give extra privileges to Arabs, which we can see in Arab states that they get extra privileges. We can see Jewish people have laws passed against them in dozens of states that treated them like a burden, like a minority. They had to flee these states. We have classic cases of Jewish people having to be airlifted out of Ethiopia because they were so oppressed by the governments there. I'd argue if this is the standard we have to go with, that a minority group in this country is oppressed because the majority of the state. We're seeing a lot of countries lose statehood. Like Gaza. Gaza would delegitimize its own claim of existence because there's no Jewish people there. And most of the ones that go there are there because they're hostages that were taken by the invading forces. We take a look at Iran. We see all sorts of atrocities and bad things there.
Israel removed all
the Jews all fled Iran because of the oppression they were facing from the government. We can see actual standards of other countries going after Jewish people with their laws, but we can't think of anything besides family mergers. When she was talking about family mergers, every state has the right to accept or deny what citizens they want. When a hostile entity that fires thousands of rockets at you every single year wants to bring people in with a lower system of vetting, which is a family system, not based off of merit, it would be based off of compassion. When they want to bring those people in, you say, no, this nation fires rockets as we have to be very strict with the people we immigrate into. Every single country makes this calculus, and this version of justice and morality is, in my opinion, a co-opting of the justice system to push political ends.
All right. Now, Kate, 3 minutes is on the clock. This is your time to control. Ask questions, make rebuttals, use the time as you see fit. I will start
so
the clock.
I don't have to cross-examine. I can just.
You do not have to. You can just rebut. This is your time to use. Correct.
Very cool. Tyler, I have one question and then I'll take the rest of the time. Even if I concede that all of your historical arguments about what happened to the Jews in these other countries incorrect are exactly framed in the best way possible, right? Let's say I concede that for the sake of the argument. We agree that those things are bad and undemocratic, right? Like
sure,
those are negative things.
I'm just disagreeing with the prescription of they should lose their statehood because they provide a safe space for a certain group of the most oppressed group in human history.
Yeah, I was just saying because you said I don't see a problem with this, but then you give examples of behaving in that way that are bad. So that's why I was asking to make sure that.
I was trying to juxtapose that we have worse actors out there all the time doing all sorts of awful acts with their justice system. Israel's not actually doing that. They just say, hey, we're a safe space for the Jews and established ourselves as a Jewish state, and that alone is enough to abolish their existence.
Yes. So that's good. That's not the argument. So I understand that in American political sphere, that's usually what people are taught. So if you can pull up my source, please. Israel is not just a simple country with a majority. Israel is a concept called an ethnocracy. It's not just an ethno-state either. It just has a majority. Israel is in charge and committed to maintaining its Jewish majority. It, in fact, did not create permanent boundaries in its foundation so they can constantly extend and retract the boundaries of their own country to be able to moderate the demographic makeup. Actually, people don't know this, but the retreat from Gaza in 2005, the disengagement, was primarily out of demographic considerations. They were like, we'll either be deemed an apartheid state or we draw out because we can't give these people citizenship either way. So if you go back to the page above this, Horse. So the page above this talks about.
I don't know how she's saying that's not for safety concerns. That's why they fucking removed the Israelis from Gaza. That's fucking crazy.
This is from a verdict talking about who's allowed to be elected to the Knesset, i.e. participate in the democratic process. One page above this. So the first argument that is laid by Israel's Supreme Court about what Israel necessitates as a Jewish state is not simply have a Jewish majority, but that Jews must constitute a majority in Israel, which means Israel is demographically committed to always maintaining a Jewish majority. It's not just about, oh, our interests don't align. It doesn't matter if they had peace with everyone, they would still have to manage their demographic differences. This is population management. You know the talking points about like white replacement theory? This is the kind of crap that we're talking about here.
Okay, that's what Japan does though.
This
like
is not democratic.
A ton of fucking countries do the same thing.
One last point, if that's okay, or I can do it in my closing.
Right. No, you actually, so here we're going to go to the 15 minutes now. Okay. So it's not about your closing. It is now the open forum. Y'all just continue to talk. You can pick it up from there. You can take it somewhere else. The clock's going now.
So Tyler, if you mind if I just made my last point, is that okay?
Yeah, finish up.
Yeah. So just to be clear, I think the argument is good what you said about trying to talk about justice and stuff, but I made it very clear in my opening. What matters here is that I'm appealing to the sense of if you think democracies are just and morals, Israel has
this is why Alex was lore master before, okay? Maybe he should be the lore master again if he's seen 50 of Katie debates. That's crazy.
Values, you would think that's unjust. That is my only appeal.
She's demonic.
If you don't
Everyone hates this chick.
That is, I lost.
Okay, so when we say we have 62 Muslim
everything she's saying
world, what
seems
do we mean when we say
fine so far, yeah.
We mean that we like making talking points. I don't exactly know what this means. You tell me.
When we say the United States is a Christian country, we say that because there's a majority of Christians in our populace, not that we're a state that somehow benefits Christianity in some way. When you say there's 62 Muslim countries, it's because they're majority Muslim. So yes, by the definition, to be a Jewish state, you would have to hold the majority of your people being Jewish by the technical definition of how we use those specific words. I don't think it implies, just because you like chocolate doesn't mean you hate vanilla. I don't think it implies anything bad for anybody else. So we see in Israel's government about 20 to 25%, 50 to 20% of people are non-Jewish members of Israel's populace, and they elect almost I think it's a couple
20% are Arab,
the exact proportion in government. They even have Arabs, the Muslim Arabs, Druze and whatnot, that are voting in the government, electing their own representatives. They're allowed to participate just like everybody else.
Okay, so we need my document for this because this is false. There are rules in Israel about how you're allowed to enter the electoral process. And one of those rules is that if you democratically advocate for Israel becoming a state of all its citizens, you are not allowed to participate because you're an existential threat to the Jewish nation of the state of Israel. You can see it. It actually distinguishes between the rhetoric that says state it's all its citizens and when it's harmful and when it's not. I have the quotes in the last page. You can go over them. Again, if people submit to the argument that America is a Christian state, if America did like deport everyone who wasn't Christian just to make sure that it remains Christian, most people would argue that's undemocratic. If America became predominantly Muslim, it would be a Muslim state by this definition. Israel is constitutionally a Jewish state, and it explains exactly what metric it uses. It uses it being the national home of the Jewish symbol of the Jewish people in symbols and in language. It says that Israel can never lose its Jewish symbology in any way. It says that Israel must maintain a Jewish majority. And what was the last one? Sorry, I can't see it from here. Anyway, these arguments are factually incorrect to the legality that the Israeli Supreme Court sees Israel as. I understand that this is how, I thought this was true before I researched for this debate, right? It's not my fault that the Israeli Supreme Court literally said these things and ruled them. It's convenient, but I didn't make it up, you know?
Well,
She
yeah,
just
I agree with all those
found that
things.
out?
I don't see anything wrong with them, especially when you apply the context that they're talking about. So just being defined as a Jewish state because you're a majority Jewish, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's how we define a religious group that runs the majority of a state. And I just showed that with both America and Arab states, as well as this is a safe space for the most oppressed people in human history. So it's
Okay, this is where she should go into her ethnocracy point, in my opinion.
Because of history, how they've been treated in multiple countries in multiple instances. They have formed this because of that. It doesn't make them an ethno state because they want to preserve the safe space for their people.
They are an ethno state. They fucking are an ethno state.
This
Absolutely.
one last time, and then I guess we'll stop trying. That is not the argument that I'm making. I'm not saying that Israel is just a majority Jewish state. I'm saying that Israel dictates by its own laws.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I wanted.
And
that's
again,
what I wanted.
To some degree.
Tyler, it's completely fine if you don't see anything wrong with that. But then you and I just don't think of democracy in the same way. I don't think that democracy that manages who's allowed to participate in it and what they're allowed to vote for in a manner that changes the country so it's more egalitarian is very democratic. It's fine if you have different standards for what a democracy is. I guess I'm not appealing to your sense of morality and justice when it comes to democracy.
So wait, you don't think that it's democratic for the people of a nation to say who they want to join their country? They can't have any say over their border policy or immigration policy? That's democratic to you, to strip them of the ability to vote on the policies they want?
Yeah, so I will repeat this. That is not the argument. The argument is that you mentioned that Arabs and Druze people participate in Israeli parliament, but I'm literally saying that there's a law that restricts what they are allowed to advocate for based on if they want the country to be a country
Only
that
if it's
also
only if it's an existential threat. That applies to Jews and Arabs equally. That's not under racial lines.
And it's fine if you think
it's not a racial thing. That's not a racial thing.
That's not very democratic to.
There's nothing in the Knesset
who have very
that is under ethnic lines.
Democracy
If a Jew was advocating some existential threat, it'd be the fucking same.
I'm not making the arguments that you're saying that I'm making, so I don't know.
I think you kind of are. You're just framing them differently. Where the first argument was me saying that you were cherry picking and taking their words and applying them to a different context, and I gave what I thought was the context. So I'm countering what you're saying. I'm not arguing your framing. I'm arguing the framing of what you're saying. So that being said, with ethnicity, you say they're an ethno state. Can you tell me any ethnicity that is made up of? Hold on.
I'm saying an ethnocracy, not an ethno state.
Okay, well,
these are not the words I said.
They have an ethnocracy. Okay,
well, they're both.
Can you explain to me anything that has ethnic homogeneity that is made up of 30% Europeans, 20% Africans, and 40% Middle Easterners?
Ethnic hegemony? That's not what an ethnocracy is. I don't understand the question. I apologize. Explain it to me again.
I'll just look the word up to make sure I'm representing it properly. controlled by a dominant ethnic group. That's what an ethnocracy, a state or apparatus controlled by a dominant ethnic group. So you're saying that the majority of Israel is the same ethnic group. And I'm asking, of that ethnic group, we see that they are 30% European, 20% African, and 40% Middle Easterners. Can you give me another ethnic group that's made up of such a diverse amount of people that only share what God they pray?
Okay, so first of all, did you Google ethno-state?
I Googled ethno.
They're European. They're still Jewish, though, right? That's the Ashkenazi. They're European, but they're Israel is still like, I don't know, something like 60%, 70% Jewish.
When you're saying this, because I just Googled it.
I just looked up the definition. A hybrid political regime where the state apparatus is controlled by a dominant ethnic group to further its own power, interest, or resources.
Yes. So I'm going to say this right now. Jewish. Yes. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you, how are these people an ethnic group? Ethnicity isn't just we all pray to the same God. It means you have a similar.
That's a religion.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying they're all Jews. They want to preserve their Jewish religious rights. There's 20% Africans, 40% Middle Easterners, and 30% European. How are they an ethnic group besides just praying to the same God?
I'm sorry, you're conflating religiosity, like Judaism, with the concept of being Jewish. Even the state of Israel doesn't do it.
He actually is.
Right? So Jewish refers to Judaism as a religion, and Jewish people are also an ethnic group. And Judaism as a religion is an ethno-religion. It's a concept, right? So it is generally established that Jewish people are an ethnic group. For example, there are many Jewish people who are ethnically Jewish and are both secular and atheistic. You can meet them in America. There's a lot of them there. Yes.
I understand. So, we're talking about Israel's population.
What is the question about religion here?
I said that I'm not asking a question about religion. I'm saying that you're saying this is an ethnicity. And that is an ethnic group.
Ethnocracy.
Thank you. It's hard to say for me. I don't know why. This is an ethnic group controlling the majority of government to its own end. I'm asking you how a group made up of people from Europe, people from Africa, and people from the Middle East that have no genetic similarities.
The Knesset is the government. What do you mean?
Well, this was 3% Ashkenazi or whatever. The other term, I don't remember all the other terms off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I don't remember what African Jews are called anymore. But they have nothing to do with each other genetically.
I don't even know what the African Jewish thing is. I don't know what she's. I don't know if she meant to talk about Sephardic Jews or
the state of Israel and most Zionists.
African Jews. I don't know what the fuck that means.
One of the core anti-Zionist arguments is that the idea that Zionism just takes a bunch of different Jewish cultures that have nothing to do with each other and decides we are all the same because we all have 3% Jewish blood is super cringe and racist and weird. I think that's a really good.
We're going mask off. Let's go mask off. Let's go mask off.
The different groups that exist within the Jewish ethnicity. However, the state of Israel disagrees. The state of Israel actually, you brought up bringing Ethiopian Jews. Why did a bunch of Ashkenazi Jews who literally tried to castrate those Ethiopian Jews brought them? It's not like they respected their culture. It's not like they even thought they were people. I mean, I'm sorry, they didn't try to castrate them. They did. It's because they were Jewish, and that worked enough for the demographic majority that Israel and the Zionist establishment was going for. I think this is a great anti-Zionist argument. I make it all the time. It's very good. I would love to discuss this more with you.
What I'm looking at right now is what Israel actually says. They claim to be one of the most diverse countries in the world because they're made up of different ethnicities from around the world. They're made up of European ethnicities. They're made up of Middle Eastern ethnicities. They're made up of all sorts of ethnicities. And the thing that binds most of them, because they don't share any genetic heritage, is their religion. So you can say, yes, these ethnic people exist, but there's no ethnic similarities between people from Africa and people from Europe. It's because they worship the same God in this instance. So yes, ethnic Jews do exist. A lot of them are secular. A lot of them are in the United States. I know a couple. Me and Socrates TV probably argued for maybe 30 hours, most of it offline on this topic. So I understand that they exist, but what I'm saying is Israel is not an ethno-state because they don't share ethnicity. They're extremely diverse.
I understand that you're saying that. Israel is not just an ethno-state. It's also an ethnocracy. And yes, Israel
you're right. That's the term. I'm sorry. I used the wrong term.
No problem. Yes, Israel is very diverse. It took many Jewish people. It's the same way that that Black Americans come from many different genetic backgrounds, depending on where their predecessors were kidnapped from. But that does not mean
they're not even theocratic adjacent.
However, I do
in my
agree with you
mind,
that there was a huge part of Zionism that focused on the concept of how do we take all these people that have nothing to do with each other and we make them like each other. And in fact, there was a lot of what I would argue cultural genocide by the Zionist establishment to different types of Jewish ethnicities within Israel. They put them in concentration camps. They took away their religion because the administration was kind of secular, because that was the Ashkenazi perspective. I can talk about it all you want. I just don't think you understand how Israel views itself and how Israelis views themselves. When you talk for the Jewish people, you talk for any version of all Jewish people. Israel demands that it is the representative of all Jewish people in Israel or not in Israel. And that has nothing to do, and they don't just mean religion, because there are Jewish people who are not religious.
I'm looking at a speech from Bibi Netanyahu where he's saying Israel is a mosaic of Jewish ethnic groups, several of them, coming together to separate their similar religious heritage.
Yes.
That's what the State of Israel's leaders said in a speech just last year.
Yes, but he also said that the Mufti made Hitler want to kill the Jews. Not everything that he says is like truth. It's more like politically motivated. That's kind of like his thing.
I mean, that's a
good
answer. That's a fucking good answer.
You continue. I thought you were done.
Yeah. So I would just say that even if you take what he says as a like in face value, that's not an argument against what I'm saying. There can exist subsections within a larger ethnicity. Look, if you asked me, I don't think Jewish people should be an overarching category. But every time I say that, Jewish people call me anti-Semitic because I'm mean to Jewish people, because I'm saying, hey, we have nothing in common. Why do we define ourselves based on our blood? So I am with you. Let's go on this crusade together. I've been doing it for years. Like, we are on the same team. I agree. There shouldn't be a state claiming that there's an ethno-religion like this. Yes. Let's do it.
I don't think they are. And I don't, when I even asked you for any instances of anybody deprived of rights or privileges, you said, well, they're not allowed to advocate for certain things like the destruction of that state and become a politician. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is for every country. You're not allowed to advocate for the destruction of your own state.
You don't seem to actually engage with what my source repeatedly says. It doesn't say destruction of its own country. Israel codified into its whole constitutional framework that Israel cannot exist if it's not Jewish and democratic, except that those concepts—
That's a separate thing from the existential threat.
I don't think that it's not my fault that Israel decided that if it can't prioritize Jewish people, it is not a country. You know,
those are two separate
their own legality.
Separate arguments.
If it is all right with both debaters, I'm going to put 5 more minutes on the clock. I don't think you guys are quite done yet, so please continue.
Yeah, absolutely, Horace. Thank you. Let's keep going.
I was going to go down. I'm going to go down my argument a little bit because I challenged yours a bit. I'm going to keep challenging the justice part of this. I don't see a similarity. I see something where the Chinese did what they did to the Uyghurs, essentially cleanse their religion out of them because they didn't want them there. I see no calls for their state being in. I see what China did to Tibet, what all these Arab states have done to Jews, including Gaza.
Tyler's pronunciation of all things is crazy, but that's okay.
So are you willing to apply this across the board to everybody that's done something to an oppressed minority in their country?
Not making that argument. Repeatedly, I'm saying, hey, I would like to change Israel to be a good country or like a democratic country that aligns with moral and justice values under democracy. Unfortunately, I can't run to the Knesset as an
They have done an insane amount of terror attacks, Rage. I will say that. I kind of got a little black belt on that.
I don't know what to tell you. That is not the argument that I'm making. I'm not allowed to advocate for that. That has nothing to do with China and the Uyghurs.
I'm trying to nail down this ethnicity point because you just kind of take it as granted that because there's some 3,000-year-old bloodline. Do I share an ethnicity with somebody from Africa?
Yeah, I think she's doing a good job. I think she's doing a good job, especially with the framing that she made at the beginning.
Ethnicity works.
I completely agree with you. Unfortunately,
What's a
Israel
goon
states
to
its
a
entire
goblin?
existence based on this point. I
Thank you,
agree with
Gloom
you. We
Dark.
should
Don't
run
forget
to
to like
the
and
Knesset
subscribe
together to
and
tell them
super
it's
chat
wrong.
if you think about it.
I agree with you. I'm with you.
So should we abolish every country that mandates Sharia law and that the politicians practice Sharia law?
I mean, I'm talking. We should abolish generally.
Mel, you got to
don't
look up a
support
list of the Uyghur terror
If you want to talk
attacks
about
and then
theologies,
come
we can
talk to me. Like,
theocracies, I
unironically,
don't like them too.
if you
I
haven't
would
done
like
that,
the Vatican
because
to go away
this is
as
something
well,
I went through
together
like
with
6
any
months
Sharia
ago.
law countries. We
It's
can do that
insane.
together.
It's absolutely insane.
I don't like ethnocracies. I don't like theocracies. I like democracy. That's why my argument was like, hey, if you believe in democracy, that's what you should go for.
So that's kind of what I was saying before. You're saying the existence
Check it out,
of
Mel.
ethnic Jews means
Check
now
it
that
out.
all Jews are ethnically Jews, and
There's
that's why
a wiki article about it. Fucking crazy.
That's your argument, essentially. And every time I try to point that out, you say I'm wrong, but it's like nailing Jello to a wall. That is your argument.
I'm sorry, it's not my argument. So the people who conjugated the concept of Zionism, it was their argument. That is not my fault. I disagree with them.
Yeah, they share an ancestry. It doesn't mean they're the same ethnicity. You're saying like they have completely like look at what ethnicity actually means. It's not just you have a similar gene in your bloodline. Like they're trying to make historical claims of their ties and legitimacy to the ancient roots of the religion and the faith.
Which is
and
bizarre,
the people.
right? That is insane.
It's a little weird, but it doesn't mean they have to lose their state over it. It's a little weird, okay? I think a lot of religious practice is a little weird, and I'd say Jews are probably not the most weird ones. Scientologists, in my opinion, are. That being said, I don't think Scientologists shouldn't be able to practice their religion how they want to or run their state how they want to, as long as they adhere to international laws. And that's what Israel, unless we want to talk about, the conflicts, that's what Israel is doing with this particular law.
With this particular law that says that it needs to be an ethnocracy?
It's not an ethnocracy, though. You haven't proven that. You're just saying that they have some ancestral ties. Now they're all the same ethnicity. I've pointed out multiple times their ethnicity is based off of more than just their ancestral ties and their religion. It's based off their culture, which varies drastically. It's based off their moral system. It's based off of a ton of different factors. I don't want to go through them all because we're kind of running out of time here. That being said, I don't think the ethnicity point has been proven.
That's fine. I agree. Let's talk to Ben-Gurion and Herzl and Bibi Netanyahu about it. We should, because I agree with you. Let's do it right now after the debate. We call Zionists and we ask them, what the fuck are you talking about? This is stupid. I have been doing it for a long time. So join me in this crusade, please. You are an ally. Let's go.
I just don't see any right to abolish their state over it. Several states do that. Like in the United States, we say we want to preserve America's culture, America's ethnicity. So we don't let in.
Alex is so fucking crazy work, Mel. Mel just chose violence today.
Split them up to assimilate them so they join our culture and become part of the American ethnicity over time. Or
Alex is married, to be clear. Okay, has literal children. Okay, so
what their country actually means.
Mel, you chose violence, which is fine. But
I would love to argue about the concept of American ethnicity. I would really like to hear scholars talk about that. As far as I'm aware, that's not a thing. And I would say that most people saying what you just said wouldn't be very democratic, even if there was an American ethnicity, which is not a thing.
Alex thankfully tells me when he's making love to his wife, so I actually can confirm he makes love to his wife.
I'm pretty sure that
which is a basic requirement. I ask my
panelists. We do have the
panelists.
after party, so trust me, y'all still get plenty of more time to get after this. But I do want to get to our closing arguments. So, with that said, Kate, you're up first. 3 minutes is on the clock. This is uninterrupted time for you to close your arguments. Put a cherry on top for us. I will start the clock when you start to talk.
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little disappointed because I should have prepped. I did prepare quotes from Zionist leaders that talk about, because I was going to make a different counter argument, and I didn't prepare the obvious quotes of like the fact that obviously Zionism as a historical movement and ideology is based on the assumption that Jewish people as an ethnicity, that is like the core argument that brings Jewish people together. This is why Israel, for example, can let in convicted American pedophiles into Israel that are not religious because they are Jewish, ethnically
been like
Jewish. They
a couple
don't need to
hundred
be
people.
religiously Jewish, but they are Jewish.
I mean, it's
They
bad,
fit
but it's
the
a small amount of
description,
people.
and they help the demographic thing, and so that's why they can be let in, right? It is not my fault that Zionism is an incredibly unethical, nonsensical ideology. I agree it's not good. I made entire videos about the ridiculous notion that you can take Moroccan Jews in the 1950s and claim that they had anything to do with Ashkenazi Jews. In fact, Ben-Gurion talked about it. He said that they had no culture, that they were the scum of the earth. Well, he didn't say scum of the earth, but I can't translate the Hebrew. They put them in little nice ghettos in Israel. They took away their religion, their culture. You can read about it if you just take a little bit of interest in Israeli history. Yeah, the ethnicity point is just not... it's not my point, unfortunately. I've been arguing against it. Just to reiterate what I started with, if you don't concur with my, let's say I'm asking you to do a vibe check. What do you feel is democratic? What policies do you think are democratic? What policies do you think you're not? If America had a law that says, hey, you're not allowed to run to Congress because you're a communist, because that would defeat the capitalist purpose of America, would you think that's democratic? And depending on how you feel, that's the appeal that I'm making. It is true that I didn't prepare just as a separate argument. I just assumed that we thought democracy was a generally just idea. And so I apologize that I did not specify on that. I guess I should clarify that I mean, if you both concur with democratic values and think they are just, if you think they have value, then yeah, I would ask you to judge the policies and not even the global policies that everybody knows about. We haven't brought up Palestine once here, because it's not relevant. Israel does not allow its democracy to function as a democracy because it's a threat to its Jewish demographic. And I've established that. If you think that's democratic, then you should vote for me.
All right.
Yes.
So 3 minutes is now on the clock for you, Tyler. Closing argument, sir. I'll start it up when you start.
Okay, so I had this point written down. I can't believe I skipped over it, so I'm going to lead in with it. The thing at the end of the day, if you look at the population size of the region of Palestine, if we abolish the state of Israel and just kind of made a one-state solution, the Israelis would still hold the majority of people in the country, so it'd still be a Jewish ethno-state by the definition that was given in the ethnicity. Can you say it for me?
Ethnocracy.
Thank you. I don't know why. I'm having so much trouble with that tonight. It would still fit that criteria to that degree. It just wouldn't have it in the I mean, it's still, because they have the majority. They could still say, we want to keep the majority. So even abolishing the state of Israel wouldn't fix this issue because you'd still have a majority of Jews in that region of the world. That being said, the state of Israel is secular. It has no state religion. The state of Israel allows the same rights and privileges despite ethnicity, origin, or religion, as was admitted to. The law that she cited about not saying Israel has to fundamentally change from its origin, that's across the board. That's for Israeli Jews as well. It's not something just held to non-Jews. The only difference we found is a nation that commits terror attacks and fires thousands of rockets every year into Israel doesn't have unrestricted immigration into the country, and that's why they're bad. It falls short to me. So when you look at ethnicity, there's belief system, which is what they actually share. Language and dialect. Europeans and Africans and Middle Easterners all differ greatly on tradition and customs. Europeans, Africans, and Middle Easterners all greatly disagree on dietary practices. There's a ton of factors of what an ethnicity is. So them saying they have ancestral ties, as I can quote the leader of Israel saying, Israel is made up of several ethnicities. We're an ethnic melting pot in one of the most diverse countries in the world. When I brought that up, it was, well, he's just lying. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if every single point made against you is I'm not representing your argument properly, but I'm going to say the same argument over, or every point you bring up is a lie and I don't have to prove that.
God, I have to pee so bad. Do I have time to do this?
I don't think there's a counter argument that's ever going to work. I want to know what the burden of proof is to change your mind, because anything I presented was just slapped away as illegitimate and not addressed. So at the end of the day, the ethnic claim doesn't hold up to me. I'm looking at the leader of the state of Israel says, and he's disagreeing with your framing of what he said and what the state is. I'm looking at the laws in the state. I'm seeing it's a secular state with no religion. I'm seeing no oppression or no laws against these people. But then when I brought up examples of other groups that are actually oppressing minorities, that are actually pushing down minority groups that could compromise the ethnicity or the culture, the actual ethnicity of a homogenous blood and soil nation like China or Iran, it was like, whatever. I guess it's not good, but they get to keep their stand. That's why I'm saying this is a perversion of justice based off of using the justice system to co-opt, or the idea of justice to co-opt and achieve political ends. If a politician did it, we call it corruption. In this case, it's just, I think, misguided. And Israel's a net good for the world. Let's go fucking Israel. Let's do it. Hell yeah.
All right. There you go. So, average Israel supporter, I think, is actually what his name. New
Superior Israel enjoyer.
My bad. Excuse me. Above average. I'll give you that much. All right. So that is our arguments in the bag, everybody. But as you know, we do have questions for the debaters from the judges. Remember, chat, if y'all have anything you want to throw in there, please
Back
go ahead
in
and put a couple
time.
bucks in the tip jar.
Let's
And we'll
fucking
get your
go.
questions in there as well. But first, we go to the judges. Now, again, I get to go first just because it's my show and it's like one of the only rewards that I get. Kate, you are up first. I'm going to pull a confluence and I'm going to give you two questions, but I'm actually going to give them to you at the same time so you can kind of try to wrap them together because they are directly related. First part, and I do believe that Tyler sort of addressed these questions to you, so it is sort of a reiteration. I just want to hear you summarize your position a little bit more succinctly, if you would. Number one, are all ethnostates or ethnocracies immoral, in your opinion? And secondarily to that, do you believe that all immoral nations should be abolished? Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, that's a great question. So first of all, I for years would just say Israel is an ethno-state. Israel is an ethno-state. And that's fine and all. It is. But when people would say, well, so is Japan, I would be like, Japan is fundamentally in its legal structures not like Israel. That's just like, even if you talk about Japanese discrimination towards immigrants, like it's not comparable to anything that Israel has, right? And so there was a dissonance there. And the dissonance simply comes from ethnocracy is a sociological concept coined by someone that I do not remember their name. And ethnocracy specifically means that unlike a majority that simply, like naturally through the democratic process, has their interests mostly represented, an ethnocracy actively pushes to prioritize their interests with a lot more power and dominance. And I do think that there was if we got the showcase debate, in my original draft, I had a lot more laws to show you, but I had no time because I had to fucking do a thing for 15 minutes to talk about the fucking abolition of Israel. And that's not really my fault, is it? So I was trying to be concise. Generally, if I think that a country rises to the level of an ethnocracy, if you judge it by democratic principles, which is what the appeal was, then you would think that it is immoral and unjust. And so you would want it abolished, right? It depends on your principles. If you support democracy, those would be your positions.
I don't think I've ever been format shamed quite like that before. So thank you for that.
You literally took it away from me.
I did. I'm sorry. The people shook their fingers at me. It was above my head. Chief,
and now
are you ready?
Regret it. Now you regret it.
I'm not gonna lie, I do. I acknowledge. Chief, do you have a question ready for Kate?
Oh yeah, but now I'm scared. Just kidding.
Well, I actually do have something mean to say to you too. So you go and then I go.
Cool. What standard should we use to this is kind of a two-parter. What standard should we use to determine if we should dissolve sovereign nations? And since the prompt is really framed around justice, how do we also guarantee the safety and fundamental rights of the citizens therein in the interim?
Yeah, so I actually think that your question kind of crystallizes to me that there's a fundamental part of my original argument that I left out even when I was answering to Horst, right? My argument, when we talk about abolition, I said very clearly, the reason why I'm saying abolition, that's not because I'm like, rah, abolish every state that I don't like. I'm saying by Israel's own definition of itself, if you advocated for a state of all its citizens, you are abolishing it. So it's not, again, I know I've been whining about like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I know it was annoying, but it's like, what am I supposed to say? They literally defined it. So if you have like an actual egalitarian democracy, then that destroys their country. And I think that's bad, right? So my argument is more that the abolition argument is being forced because Israel has tied itself into a legal position by its own Supreme Court and like constitutional replacements that make it so you cannot democratically reform it. That is shameful, that is bad, that is immoral, that is undemocratic in so many ways. I didn't do it. Blame Aaron Barak. He's the one who did it. He's the problem. He was the Supreme Court justice at the time. You know, like that was his whole shtick.
All right. And did you want to insult the judge before he votes, or do you want to wait until after? I'm just being funny. All right. Confluence. Question for Kate, please.
All right, Katie. So I know your main point seems to be along constitutional grounds and under the basic laws you talked about. I'm curious, I guess, what you personally feel about. Do you think that's the main reason, in your personal opinion? This is maybe curiosity. Maybe it's not the best question. I don't know. That Israel should be abolished. Like if everything was the same in Israel's actions, but let's say they fixed their constitution tomorrow. They made it so that we fixed all the ethnocracy stuff. Would you still say they should be abolished, or would you then say they shouldn't be abolished, or would you still say there's some extra reason why they should actually still be abolished if they fixed all the ethno-state and whatever?
It's a great question, and I think it's really helpful to me that you asked it, so I appreciate it. So there's two fundamental, I don't think you did it on purpose, but like misunderstandings in the questions. So Israel would still be an ethnocracy, even if it didn't have a constitutional imperative for the specific things that I argued for. So when I started prepping for this debate, I was going to bring up a bunch of laws and saying, here are all the ways that Israel is legally discriminatory. And then as I'm researching, I'm like, wait, there's actually like a constitutional imperative that cannot even be like democratically revoked. And when I realized this, so I don't know if you know this, but I was born and raised in Israel. I'm an anti-Zionist. And the reason why I stopped participating in Israeli politics is because I realized that there could never be an Israeli party in the Knesset that actually represents my beliefs. Like, they are not allowed to participate. Even the most radical Arab party that is whatever, what they're allowed to actually advocate for is not very radical at all. They sound scary, but if you look at their platforms, they are legally not allowed to advocate for what I support, which is an egalitarian democracy. And so when I realized, what was the point of participating in an electoral process that there's no way I'm allowed to be represented in? Mind you, as like the privileged majority, like I can't start a Jewish party that calls for egalitarian democracy because that threatens Israel's existence. So when people are like, hey, can't you just reform Israel? Can't you just take the ethnocracy stuff up, make some new rules? And it's like, I'd love that. I'm just not allowed to go to the Knesset and advocate for it. So I love it.
Okay, look, Horace, I'm sorry. I do have to ask a follow. I hate to do this, but I have to ask a follow up because
it's on brand.
I feel it is on brand because I feel like, okay, so I appreciate your answer, Katie, but I think my original question is like, let's say there was a way where the Constitution itself could be changed. So like, if we imagine that could happen, whether or not it's possible, but let's say it was. And so all of the stuff about it being an ethnocracy, let's say that went out the window. Would you still say Israel should still be abolished?
Well, I would say that I wouldn't use that rhetoric because the reason why I used the rhetoric from the beginning, that's from Israel's point of view. So if you ask Zionists, if Israel wasn't an ethnocracy anymore. So if you go right now to Israel and look at polls and ask them, hey, if Israel is just a democracy and not a Jewish majority state anymore, would you think that the Zionist project failed? And the answer is yes. So for Israelis, for Zionists, if Israel is not an ethnocracy, if Israel is not what it is now, then it has failed by their own definition. I don't need to call it. Why would I call for an abolition of a democratic, egalitarian country? Like, I might try to pass a law that says, hey, can we not call it Israel? You know, that's kind of awkward with the whole like Palestine thing that we did. Maybe let's call it Israel or like Pala Isra or something like that, you know? But that's not the, you know, I would like that. It's just for Israelis and for Zionists, that would be the abolition of Israel. And so I was arguing from their perspective.
Fair, thank you.
There you go. Okay, so we are now going to go ahead and kick a question over to Tyler. So my question for you, Tyler, and you know what? So this was also brought up and kind of glazed past. Looks like in just a little bit of research that I did because I had not heard of this story until I just heard it in the course of this debate. It looks like Israel has acknowledged that they did administer Depo-Provera shots to Ethiopian Jews without their consent. For those of you who do not know, Depo-Provera shots are birth control. So essentially they were sterilizing Ethiopian Jews without their consent, leading, and they acknowledged and admitted that they did this and that they did it to control the Ethiopian Jewish population. So my question to you, Tyler, is considering
they didn't technically admit it. Sorry.
The sources that I found seems to think that they did, but okay. Yeah, again, perhaps they didn't, perhaps it was just proven. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, sorry.
Assuming this to be true, Tyler, would you not agree that would be a directly immoral act bordering on a crime against humanity? And if you think yes, are crimes against humanity not justification for an abolition of a nation? Go ahead.
Well, again, going by justice, which is a standard, I don't think there's anything that qualifies justified to abolish a nation because it's never happened before. So that just being the standard of justice that we currently have, and most of the world kind of shares a general similarity for it. I don't think so. To answer your second question first, absolutely it's immoral. It's basically what China did to the Uyghurs without the force feeding of pork and alcohol. So yeah, it's completely bad and very shitty. I just don't think we blame an entire state and an entire people for the actions of a small amount in government. Otherwise, you know, you're responsible for Trump.
Well played. Let's Chief. Question for Tyler, please. And I'm so excited to hear this one.
Always so many questions for Tyler, you know, but we'll keep it narrow on this one. If maintaining the state requires systematic displacement of part of the population, can that state be considered ethically just?
I think so, because displacement itself kind of sounds bad in the context, but generally it's not. Like, that's what the U.S. essentially does that with migrants. We take them and we break them up and force them around the country into different areas so that we can assimilate them into what we have. I don't think inherently there's ways that you could do it that are absolutely bad. I agree. And I'd say that the example from the last question is probably one of them, but I don't think inherently that's a bad thing. No. When it is, though, is probably what you're looking for. When it is, I think it's absolutely unjust. I just don't think it justifies the abolition of a state. There's, you know, it's nowhere near what the damn Holocaust was, or pogroms, or all sorts of bad things that have happened in history. What happened in Tibet, blah, blah, blah. What Japan did to China in history, the Mongolians. Like, this is pales in comparison to it, in my opinion. And I find it perfectly reasonable to say we want our state to have this political or religious view. That's what we're going to move toward.
Real quick, just so everybody, hold on, Kate. I promise you're going to get your chance. Just so everybody knows, I did drop a link in the chat. Apparently, it was the NIH that has announced or proven based on evidence that the sterilization thing occurred. But again, if you don't mind, Kate, I'm sorry. Just hold what you got until we get to the after party. But we do have a question for you as well. So we got something come in from the chat, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get back to that. Confluence. A question for Tyler, please.
All right. Okay. So a lot of this talk that you and Katie did was about the ethnocracy stuff, and I understand that Katie's definition seemed different than when you Googled and you got the definition. But I guess what I'm asking is, under what Katie defined as an ethnocracy, that it's like established and it's like fundamental to Israeli law. Let's say, maybe you disagree with that. I'm not sure, but let's say for sake of argument that you agree that that is established. Do you see any problems with that? Would you say that is grounds for abolishment? If you were to agree that it is an ethnocracy in the way she defined, would you say that Israel should be abolished? Or even maybe a lesser question, is that still fine? Or do you have a problem with that? Or are you just saying that countries should be allowed to run how countries want?
I'm not fine with it. I think it's bad, and I think it's bad for the country overall to have an ethnocracy. Oh, I fucking said it! Hell yeah! You just gotta not think about it.
Let's go.
I think it's bad to have generally, but I'd say it's worse than a theocracy. Where we were actually disagreeing is if it's an ethnocracy or a theocracy. I was challenging the ethnic part of it. And my challenge was, I'd say it's actually more like a theocracy, because an ethnocracy requires like bloodline, cultural similarities, and all these things, not just ancient ties and fucking stupid claims from people gassing themselves up. So I think it's more of a theocracy personally, and I think it's a very loose and friendly one that lets people in. I don't like the idea of an ethnocracy or an ethno-state. But, I still think, Japan has the right to say, you don't get to come to our country. We want to be Japanese here. I don't think that's disqualifying. And even if they do it a little differently, if they don't have it in their constitutional structure, it's still the same idea in spirit.
Thank you.
All right. And your second question, Confluence?
That was my only question, actually. Thank you, Horse.
Well, shit. Then in that case, I'm gonna throw in. I'm gonna throw in the second Confluence question, because it's a feed off of the question's answer that you just gave. You say that you do not believe that Israel is based on blood or heritage. But two questions. First of all, why do they call it blood libel then? And second question is, explain to me the idea behind right of return.
I think blood libel is an older term, and they're trying to issue an intuition pump. That's a silly question, I feel like. Why do they call themselves the National Socialists? That means they're socialists, right? This is a branding term to gas themselves up. It's a silly argument. And what was your second? I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Right of return. How does right of return work?
I don't know exactly what that is off the top of my head. I think
so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that my understanding is if you can prove a Jewish heritage, specifically on your mother's side, you're allowed to automatically become Israeli.
Yeah, I know that.
Definitionally heritage based.
I'm bad with nouns. They make fun of me at work all the time for it.
I might be wrong about the name of that. I
get what you're saying in spirit. I think that's okay, because at the end of the day, they are being that Jewish safe space because they're an oppressed minority. They are having the one Jewish nation. We have majority other nations elsewhere. And because they don't, I can understand why they want the laws in place they do to uphold their system, because they're the only Jewish safe space in the world. They're the only pro-Jewish country in the world, with half of the Democratic Party turning on them and growing. They're electing a guy that was literally friends with the blind sheik right now to be the fucking candidate in the Senate. I could see the need for a state that is allowing the most oppressed people in human history to have a safe space.
All right, everybody, you heard it here first. Conservatives advocating for safe spaces. All right.
I'm sorry. Democrat, bro.
Yeah, he's fucking liberal. I'm muted,
yes,
but I know
Kate,
that.
You had a thought. Go ahead.
I had lots of thoughts, but the most important thing for this one, blood libel is not about Jewish blood. Blood libel is an anti-Semitic trope that talked about how Jewish people wanted to take the blood of Christians. That's why it's called blood libel, because they are libeling Jewish people for wanting to take blood. It has nothing to do with the genetic or
the heritage blood.
I was going to say that, but Katie is completely right on that.
Too. Any kind of trope Jews worship Satan, it's a blood libel, and it's expanded.
Now they simply mean in the old historical context, it meant that specific thing, and now it just mean every time you lie about the Jews, you're putting them at risk, like you did with the Christians. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. My understanding, just to clarify, is that I was of the impression it was that you were insulting the heritage or insulting the bloodline. That was
no.
Okay, got it. See, again, I only know so much. That's why I asked the questions here. All right, everybody. So that completes our third and final debate. And we went a little over on time, and I apologize for that, but I appreciate y'all sticking it out on this one. So we're going to go ahead
I
and
think
drop
you're missing
that last-
something. You're missing something.
Oh, yep.
There
I'm
was
sorry. I did. Nope, you're right. I did. I wasn't going to answer it, or I wasn't going to ask it because she had asked, or she had already answered it. But I do want to clarify for the chat. We did have a question come in. So, what ethnicity are you, Kate? That way we know which ethnocracy is next on the list of places we will support Israel in conquering. Now, I believe that you said that you are actually
Can you pull that
Israeli.
up again? I'm autistic, so I would like to read it to know what I'm answering.
Yep, no worries. I will also read it to you again.
I will make sure to think it's funny, like witty.
For sure.
So just to make sure that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's edgy. It's for sure edgy.
What ethnicity are you, Katie? That way I know what ethnocracy is next on the list of places we will support Israel in conquering. Does that mean I don't like you? I'm confused. What is the inference?
The inference is that they are asking what other ethnocracies you believe that Israel will. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I don't fucking understand.
Can I
How does Horse not understand? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, give it 1 second.
Oh my god! If you do it, I do it too. Twins,
Yep.
twins.
Answer it as you see fit, Kate. That you got the question. Say what you want to it.
Yeah. So I'm ethnically Jewish, and the reason why I say it now is because for a long time on Twitch, I would say that I'm not Jewish. But Israel doesn't accept that I'm not Jewish. Israel sees me as Jewish. Israel legally sees me as Jewish, even if I'm saying that I'm secular, that I'm atheistic, that I hold no cultural anything like that. Both Jewish people and Israel don't.
It's in your blood, Katie. It's in your fucking blood.
What is your blood, Katie? I have to say I have Jewish blood.
That's right.
Jewish blood. I
Yeah,
have. Jewish.
you do.
And
You do.
that's always fun. So yeah, that's my answer.
All right. So
yeah,
so
we
the
will
answer.
we will conquer those.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You had your fucking debate, Emmett.
Yeah.
I sent the
Wait,
no, shut the
I-
fuck up.
I have some words for Emmett when we get to the. Don't worry.
We
I have
will
some
get there.
words.
Yep, and keep the extra spicy ones for after we raid out and we get into the after party, because that's when the gloves are off and I don't give a fuck because I'll be getting drunk. But voting. So, audience and judges, do we believe that Katie? I'm sorry, I was saying it Kate the whole time. It's Katie. Do you believe that Katie on the affirmative, or that Tyler Aid on the negative, gave the most compelling arguments tonight on the abolition of Israel is moral and just? Again, the link is forthcoming. Control copy, control paste. Boom. It's right there in the chat for everybody on Twitch. I'm going to go ahead and throw this to you now, Mr. Confluence. Nope, not right there, right there. And then I'm also going to put it into my own YouTube and Kick. If somebody can teach me how to make that just happen when I say it in one, it automatically goes to the others.
Oh, thank you,
will be my
Testy.
new fucking hero.
Wait, you stream on Kick too, and you made me say I'm Jewish? You put me at risk by doing that. You know that?
How's that?
Well, they're full
The
of
Jewishness
Nazis
is
over
in her
there. You're
blood.
endangering my my.
It's in her
my
blood. I'm
living.
gonna put echo
Fair enough.
quotes
We will
around Katie
absolutely
from
stand
now
in protection
on.
and solidarity of you. And more
I'm gonna
importantly, I think
echo
there's literally
fucking
zero
bracket
people
her.
watching Kick.
Yeah, Tyler
so
would be
it's
like,
fine.
she's not ethnically Jewish. It's not a real thing. It's a made up story. It's not real.
There you
There
go.
are some. I admitted to that.
All right, chatters, please give that link a click. Tell us who you think was the most compelling arguments. But meanwhile, we're going to go to our judges. So we're going to go back to you for the first answer, Confluence. Did you go first last time or did Chief? I don't remember. It was so long.
Yeah, it's my turn, I think.
It's your turn.
Wait, Tyler
Confluence.
wanted
sure.
to insult the judges.
Oh,
Can I insult the judges?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, let's Chief.
Why
You
not?
look like the comic book guy from The Simpsons found Ozempic. And Confluence, we're going to call you Discount Theory Unchained because he's the more handsome upgrade.
How
Can
dare
say
you?
something about your
How
judges
dare
now?
you?
That was sad.
Yeah,
that
you
had to
you
read
too,
that.
Katie. Okay, everyone can either shit on me or grease
Yeah.
the wheels. You know,
Katie,
go ahead.
Katie,
Okay,
by
okay.
all means.
So
Choose your words
someone in
wisely.
Someone in
She
chat
will.
said, like at the beginning, that Confluence looks like Zoran Mandani, which I thought was weird. But what it reminded me, Confluence looks
Fuck
like
both of you.
Confluence look like Adam Sandler playing Don't Mess with the Zoran, which is hilarious considering the topic. He literally looks like the Zoran from the movie. The sunglasses, the hair. He looks like, come on. Say I'm
We see
wrong.
it.
Vote on this.
We see it.
Vote on this.
What do you got for Let's Chief? What do you got for Let's Chief? Go ahead. Smoke.
Okay. So when I was in chat one time, Let's Chief was nice to me, and then John Testicles Man was like, Katie is the only person I have blocked on Twitter, and then Let's Chief was like, oh, I'll stay away, and yeah.
What? I don't think I said that.
No, you didn't say that, but what you said was very reasonable, and that wouldn't make for a good
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You are definitely the devil. No, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, Katie, I am very, very glad to have hosted this. I hope that we get the chance to host you again. I hope that I understand you've basically retired from doing this, you said, but I hope that you do at some point come back out of retirement again and grace us with your presence again, regardless of how this falls. But before we do that, Let's Chief, Confluence. Are you guys ready?
You're born
Confluence.
We're gonna Eiffel Tower this debate judging right now.
Yep,
absolutely.
You're up first, Confluence. Where did you land on this and why?
Okay, so yeah, the when I saw the prompt, yeah, I think this went in a different direction than I thought it was going to go in, which is fine. Yeah, so Katie's opening was obviously all about the Constitution, Israel's basic laws. There's no democratic process to change the democratic system. And I mean, this is kind of what I was asking about if she had other reasons, but I think it's totally fine that she harkens to this specific thing. I think she answered my question fairly. Tyler's cross, he asked if it's democratic if the U.S. chooses to back the U.S. He noted the large percent of the House that votes to fund Israel's war efforts. I thought there was fair questions asked there. Tyler's opening, he chose to focus on justice, which I like that. And there we get kind of into the main issue of this is what I was thinking before it was mentioned of the Japanese thing, the ethno-state versus the ethnocracy. I think that was kind of the main setting for this entire debate. And that was Katie's cross as well, that she mentioned, that Israel is committed to maintaining its Jewish majority. So yeah, that's what all of this hinged on, was the ethno-state talk, the ethnocracy talk. Again, a totally different direction. I thought we were going to go into more like human rights violations and stuff, but I thought Katie made fair arguments in talking about this. I wish there was maybe more talk about the abolishment. I don't know what the fucking noun. Maybe I'm the same as Tyler. I don't know how fucking nouns work. Holy shit. But yeah, abolishing. I'll just stick with the verb thing. Yeah, abolishing of the state of Israel. I wish there was more talk about that, what that would look like, why that should happen. But that's fine. The way that it was framed by the affirmative, which is Katie, I thought was fair. I think Tyler had good answers to a lot of these questions. I think this was another toss up that was very close. But I would give this 6-4. So 6 to Katie, 4 to Tyler. Very close. I think both of them did a great job. But yeah.
Okay. 6-4 in favor of the affirmative. Let's Chief, where'd you land on it and why?
Well, first I'm going to judge you all, and abolishing is a participle, not a verb.
Participle. I actually thought to myself, I was like, fuck, I totally said that was a verb, and it's not.
Y'all fucked up.
Abolition.
I made you pay dearly for it. So
I'm embarrassed. The pie is on my face. Thank you. Go on.
I thought it was really smart of Katie to narrowly tailor the argument to the abolishing the fundamental structure of the Jewish majority that's established in basic law, and bringing up that you actually cannot actually legally advocate for this in the Knesset, and that there is no democratic way to overturn that primary feature. I think that was really brilliant to focus the abolition around that. And then also the issue of, what it means in Israel to talk about the Jewish ethnicity versus, that specific use case against what our colloquial understanding and the typical understanding of what ethnicity is. Tyler was a little bit out of his depth there, but he did like really, going into like exploring just the ethnicity point alone. He did do a good job there, but I feel like because he accepted the narrow tailoring of the abolishment around this fact that you cannot change through democracy, it was also like I judged it close like Confluence. I'm giving it to Katie 6-4 also.
Right. So first appearance looks like you're already
Fucking
off to a great
copycat.
start, Katie.
Just fucking stealing
And
my
it looks
my
like the
score.
judges
That's
have
crazy
decided
times.
You have won tonight, but it is by a close margin. So congratulations. I do once again still want to see where the chat landed on this one. I'm only going to
The
give you guys
judges are monarchists. This is immoral. You are not for democratic values. This is terrible. There you go.
Based.
because they didn't disagree, so that way it would fall
No,
in the hands of
because
the
I'm
audience?
royalty and they voted for royalty, so it's not democracy.
That's
and-
true.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Like,
we didn't give you all the points.
Because I'm the
That's
queen.
true.
and
You
they
got
support
some of the
queen.
points, okay?
you had
Yeah,
some of
you
the
don't get
points.
all
It
the
was
points.
not
Okay,
a
fine.
10-0. It was not a
Execute
10-0.
all the sinners who didn't vote for me with all their points. Better?
All right. Well, on that note, chat, be careful about voting for Tyler because it sounds like you might be putting yourself at risk. But chatters, please go ahead and click this link if you haven't already. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys just a couple of seconds. And
Oh,
we're
hey,
gonna go
John
straight
Zerka.
to the results
How's it going, brother?
of our final debate of the night. Let's see. Oh, fuck me. That is the most votes of the night by far, almost double the votes. So we actually got some
Holy
voters
shit.
in tonight.
Let's go.
Let's see our results.
Let's fucking
Looks
go. What's the
like-
results?
God bless America. 9-1 in favor of Katie. So
Yeah, I got
that
smacked in the chat.
is not even a win. That is a demonstration.
Wait, why doesn't he
all
say
right.
how people voted?
Yeah,
Testy,
once
can you share
Abolition?
the pie chart with me, please?
You got abolished, my friend. You definitely.
This is a
got
really tough chat, or a really tough prompt to win a Twitch. chat
38 to
overall.
5?
It
No,
is. Yeah,
it's
no,
a
true
fair
story.
judgment.
38 to
All the
5?
mark is
You know-
fucking useless.
I was
That's
just
actually
about to say,
true?
I have
Very
to say
simple
that
chat.
I have to say that that regardless of whether you agree with her or not, even for Tyler to acknowledge that Katie brought an argument and a direction
38 to
that he was
5.
completely unprepared
Wow.
for, is in and of itself the accolades and the pat on the back, even better than.
Oh
than-
yeah,
than
and
the
Testy
audience
with
voted.
the
Wow.
pie chart. Wow, 38 to
Bro, we're gonna
5.
do
I
that.
didn't
Words.
expect that angle.
We're going to get
Arguing-
everybody's.
I mean, I guess a vote is a binary thing. I did give it to Katie.
The lowest form of argument. I was on copium.
So we're going to go ahead.
I'm
and
glad that you're at least aware. I like appreciate you doing your best, but I was just like, there's no way Tyler believes in any of this. Tyler's just like, I don't think it's an ethnicity. It's like, I know that
Nope.
you do.
Yep. Again, like I said, this was an absolutely great.
Yeah,
debate.
I think
And all
Tyler
three of the
expected
debates
this to
tonight
go into
have
a
been
different
fucking
direction than it
amazing. I wanna
did,
say
which
thank
I
you
did
to all of our
too.
debaters.
Because to
Oh, no,
abolish
we
under
lost theory.
the
No, you're still here. We just lost
Democratic
the video feed. That's okay.
lines, I think
Hopefully
is
you
kind
come
of
back with
crazy.
us
So I
and-
think
and
Tyler was
face
probably
to face
expecting
again.
a
But
different
Robe is too
kind of
sexy.
argument, which I did
it
as well.
was. So I'm going to go ahead and give us our outro. For those of you who are new or do not know this, everything after this is where the edited VOD is going to end. Everything else that happens after this is only available to either Twitch subscribers or if you are here live. This is where it gets a little spicy. We're going to put 30 minutes on the clock, and all of the debaters get to weigh in on all of the prompts, and we get to kind of poke all the corners, and also you're going to get to hear the other debaters sort of compliment or smash on each other, because that's what fucking debaters do. But before we get to that, I would like to say thank you again to all of tonight's debaters, and above all, thank you to all of you out there in the chat. We wouldn't be here without you guys. The DMZ happens live on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick every Friday and Saturday night. Yes, even on Kick.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Alex.
So
Yeah,
please make
it
sure
was
and give us a
very,
follow, a
it
like,
was
and
very
subscribe, all of the buttons
precise
and
in a
all of
way
the
I
things,
didn't
so
expect.
that
I
way
don't
you
think
can
Tyler
get
expected that.
notifications every time we go live. Also, if you haven't done this already, please join our free Discord server. I will throw that into the chat as well. This is where you can go to carry the conversation after the lights go off and the cameras go away. This is also where you can tell me if you are interested in participating in these debates. I have been the horseradish, and we hope to see you guys here. For
He
the next
has
round
been the
in
horseradish.
the DMZ.
He's right about that.
And
He has been a
that's it.
horseradish.
Thank you guys very much, everybody. Great night. Like I said, you guys all were fucking amazing. I have to piss, and I'm gonna go get alcohol because I need it. But Chief, please make sure nobody like gets me TOS while I'm gone. Say hi to everybody. Be nice to each other. If you guys
I don't know if you can hear me, Les Chief, but I'm about to pull up my fucking dick. The moment Horse walks away, my dick is on cam. My flaccid peener. Okay.
Remember when he
Jesus
used to
Christ
care
is
and say
God.
my name? Tyler, you're also make sure they stay good. Not anymore.
Tyler,
when he used
you
to-
watch him too, okay, buddy?
You forgot to
Really
say
enjoyed
Tyler.
your
All right.
job.
I'm getting a fucking drink as
You
well.
forgot to say
Jesus
Tyler
Christ
was the
is
season 1
God.
champ.
Yeah,
Oh, I
no,
did forget to
no.
give him his accolades, didn't I?
You heard me,
That's right.
Keelan.
Okay. Yeah. So what it's worth, Katie, you also destroyed our season 1 champion. So I guess that makes you the champion de facto. Like you take the belt from him. Yeah. So carry it, Queen. All right. We'll be right back. Thank y'all.
It was right.
Jewish dance. Yes.
Confluence fucking called it. I said I lost a Dota. I lost a deadlock. He's like, you're gonna lose a debate tonight. You're gonna lose in 3, and it fucking happened.
It is
It
what
was
it
Yeah.
is.
tarot cards.
If it's not too much to ask, Kitty,
Yeah.
so you mentioned, so you said you were in Israel, but are you now in America?
God no. No, I'm in the Netherlands. I'm never going to
Netherlands,
that
and-
shithole.
And what do you do, like professionally?
I am professionally disabled. I stay home all day.
Okay.
Like the hair. Oh, by the
Yes.
way,
Wait.
my chat wanted to tell you that your hair is atrociously distracting.
I want to go back to Confluence's stream so I can call energy the K word that we can't say.
Can I just tell your chat?
That sounds way worse than you mean it. Well, you do mean it that
Yeah,
way.
you can tell my chat anything you want. What do you want to tell my
Depends on
chat?
who the panelists are.
It's his name.
Well, it was actually when I used to stream, people would comment that I like do stuff with my hair all the time and it's very disruptive. And I barely touched my hair right now. I'm like so proud of myself. I used to compulsively do weird shit with my hair on stream. This was like bang, bang. I should win just for that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, my chat didn't like it. They think it was messy and horribly distracting and didn't look good.
Yeah, I mean,
Confluence?
I literally got out of bed, so it would be weird if it was good.
Can you end my
Okay.
I also
stream?
don't brush my hair, so
Sure,
It's
Tyler.
weird. It's
Yeah, it
weird
shows.
it's weird to like
Mhm.
go off on a debate
do it.
about the
Try it.
superficial points someone
Yeah,
was
it-
making and then
it
talk
showed.
about someone's hair afterward.